Oh, okay, that's why.
Oh,
Oh, okay, that's why.
oh. Hey, Bill,
Yes, Sharon.
Bill, are you running the show or is Dave?
I think Dave is doing it. I haven't heard from him otherwise.
He just stepped down for one of the projects, so.
Oh, he's stepping down for one?
I think the first one.
Item
Oh, is he?
2.
Oh.
He's stepping down for item 2.
Thanks.
Item 2, okay.
Thank you. Thanks. Oh,
I can do it if he can't, but I think he's doing it, so. He's got 3 minutes. Oh boy, this is a college. Oh, wait a second.
It's my living room, Bill.
What's that? This is your living room?
Yeah, I thought I'd move my stuff into my living room.
You've got quite a book collection there.
I do.
Oh, nice.
Do you have an idea?
I want to say I've never been there, but it looks like Oxford or somewhere in England. I'm just throwing it out there. Although it's got kind of Romanesque, obviously, a lot of Romanesque elements there. Is it in the United States or Europe?
It's in the United States.
Ah. Boy.
There's David. Anybody else want to take a guess?
Is it an Ivy League?
It's not the New York Public, is it?
Close, but no.
Hmm.
This is the thing that astounded me when I looked it up this morning. 1858,
Wow.
before the Civil War.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
Boston Public Library, McKim, Mead and White, and McKim was the guy that did it.
Wow. Boston. Okay.
Pretty nice, huh?
Yeah, beautiful.
Don, you're on mute if you care.
They don't make them like that anymore.
No, they don't.
Just all computer screens now.
Or books on wheels, or whatever they call that.
Yeah, mobile libraries.
David is with us today. Okay, so who's got it? Is that David?
Yes.
Okay, so it is now 1 o'clock. I'd like to call the December 1st, 2022 Montecito Board of Architectural Review to order. First item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody here that would like to address us on an item not on our agenda, please?
David Villalobos has his hand up.
David.
Hi, David. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy December.
Yeah, you're in the farm. You're on the farm there.
So I'll make this quick. I just wanted to recognize Ms. Foster. You know what? I apologize. I'm one of these standing desks. I never get the height of my camera right here. So I think a lot of you know that this is Ms. Foster's last MBAR meeting. She's retiring at the end of next week. Earlier this week, I looked this up to see when she was first on record as being the MBAR secretary, I had to go back a long ways, all the way back to September 8th of 2008.
Well,
So she's been the MBAR secretary for over 14 years.
thank you, Sharon.
I think that she's done, a really good job. She's very fond of, working with the board and the community. And I just want to say as a supervisor, she's really been a delight to work with. And we are definitely going to miss her.
Absolutely.
I don't want to pour on too thick because I don't want to embarrass her too much, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to recognize her.
Well, Mr. Chair, I would like to jump in here if I can.
Of course.
Okay. Because I was going to wait till later on to do this, but I just want to acknowledge Sharon and what she's provided for the community of Montecito and all the applicants that's come across her desk. And the fact that she has done this extraordinary job. And I was trying to figure it out too, David, and I'm really glad that you got it, because it seems to me like it was been forever that Sharon has been part of the Montecito Board of Architectural Review, and she goes on to site visits. She does everything that she's done. And for me, having been on the board as long as I have, it is going to be a huge missing in my life not to have Sharon Foster available to me, forever, but certainly every 2 weeks, and Sharon, I love you, and whatever you do moving forward with your life, congratulations. I hope it's a great one, and I'm going to miss you terribly, just terribly. Thank you. That's what I wanted to say.
I love you too.
Anybody else, please? Steve, I see your hand up, but there you go.
Yes, on behalf of SEPS, I just wanted to come on and say thank you to Sharon and best wishes in the future. We've enjoyed working with Sharon over the years, always very helpful, always very responsive, especially sometimes at very critical and crunch times. And we've always appreciated. We always knew where we stood with Sharon, always very clear. And we're going to miss her. And someone has big shoes to fill, David. And best wishes, Sharon, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for the sweet card I received from Seth. Very sweet.
Anybody else, please?
Yeah,
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon, just to jump on the bandwagon, and you're a big part of what was going on here and a pivotal part of this whole operation, and definitely will be big shoes to fill. And I appreciate all you've done over the years and in my short stay, and I hope to be able to achieve that kind of energy and wherewithal to keep it going as you have. So thank you for doing what you've done for all of us.
Thank you, Bill. I've enjoyed working with you as well.
Chip, did you want to elucidate, or is that good enough?
I want to echo everything that has been said by Sharon and more. And I'm really concerned now is that who's going to take over her position? So can you please help us, Sharon?
Pardon me.
Can you please help us? And
I can zoom in. I don't know who's taking over, but whoever does will do a great job. Just be good to them and patient, and they'll catch on.
Don?
I'd like to chime in too. Sharon, you've been my mentor in joining the board in the last 7 or 8 months and answered all my dopey questions. I can't thank you enough for your hand-holding since I've joined.
You're welcome, Elida. It was a pleasure. I wish you'd been on sooner.
Also, I want to point out that this Sharon has made the job seem very smooth, easy, simple, because it's so well organized. And there's none of us that can really appreciate the job she did because we don't understand all the problems and never will. So thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome, Don. It's been a pleasure. You're such a gentleman.
And
John, I'd like to chime in too and say
Please.
thanks. Sharon. I know that working with the board often is like trying to herd cats, and I fully understand how challenging that is, being trying to do that as chair at one point. And I really appreciate everything you've done. And just like Don said, it runs very smoothly. And I know there's a lot of complexity behind the scenes. So thanks so much for your many years of service.
Thank you, Dave. You know, I love cats.
That's perfect.
Lucky for us.
Always so sweet.
And I want to echo all those comments. I want to tell you from firsthand experience, there is life after P&D. And I would like to put a motion on the floor to have David be our permanent secretary. No seconds?
We'll see. I'm still trying to figure out how this is going to work. It's probably likely to be me, at least in the interim.
Okay, well.
He's nicer. He's nicer than me.
I don't know about that.
We'll see after a couple of meetings and public input and applicants how he is.
John, if I may.
Of course, please.
I just wanted to speak on behalf of myself, but also on behalf of all of the planners that Sharon has guided and shepherded us through the process. She has been a constant source of support to all of us, keeping us in line. If you think guiding the MBAR is like herding cats, I don't even know what guiding all the planners is like. So we love you, we appreciate you. And even though you're leaving us, we still love you. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us.
Thank you, Kimberly. I love you too.
Anybody else, please?
Don't go.
Thank you all.
No, we've got her for about another 2 hours, maybe 3.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 2, reconsider the circumstances of COVID-19 and tell the state, let's go. I would like to make a motion to continue with the findings that Kimberly will help write. Is there a second, please?
I'll second it.
Any discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Agenda status report, Sharon, please.
The only thing that we had was that the consent item asked to be moved to the December 15th meeting.
And does that require a motion, please?
Yeah, because we're going to continue it, please.
Is there somebody that'd like to move that, please?
I'll make a motion to continue item C1.
I'll
to the
second
next
that.
agenda.
Any other discussion, please? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All
Yeah.
those opposed? Okay, I did not receive any minutes, is that correct?
That's correct.
I'd like to move that the consideration of minutes of November 17th be put off until we have a future meeting. Is there a
No.
second, please?
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Montecito consent agenda, we don't have an item, so we're not going to discuss that. Staff update, please. Oh, excuse me. MBAR members informational briefing. Does anybody have anything to say, please?
John, I will be stepping down for item number 2.
Okay. Anybody else?
Nothing.
I don't know, maybe John, maybe this is, I don't know where to put this anyway, because we just went through Sharon, but we have a longtime member who is completing their long stint on MBAR.
Yeah, I was waiting for a volunteer from him. So go ahead, you can introduce it if you'd like, Claire.
Yeah, I just didn't know where on the agenda to say this,
This
because.
is right
yeah.
now.
Okay, because Don Sharp, has actually, he says it's 35 years. I think it's that, I think it may be longer, but has been also of service to Montecito. And he sat on many, many boards, not just MBAR, but whenever he's been needed on MBAR, he's come back to us. And this will be his last hearing. And for me, he's been he's been my lifeline. He's been my mentor. He's been everything for all these years. He was the one that helped me do the design guidelines back however many years, all of this, and he's such an extraordinary human being. And it's going to be, along with Sharon, my MBAR here, I've got Sharon, and now I've got Don Sharp, who was like my rock at MBAR. And I just want to let you know it's going to be a huge missing in my life not to have you here, Don, all of these years, and I just thank you for actually creating me into being who I am inside of county work and MBAR work and everything that I've done for many years. You've always been kind of in the background but always there for me. And so I'm really going to miss you. And I just hope you have a great life with your grandchildren. I mean, it's just so, for me, you guys get to hear about that. I go to New Zealand and Peru because that's where my grandchildren are. And now here you're leaving Santa Barbara, and you're going to go off to Colorado and enjoy the rest of your life, Don. That's what I have to say.
Well, thank you, Claire. I appreciate that. We've been on ARC together many, many years ago, and writing the guidelines and so forth. So your service, and I hate to just continue to push back on you, but your service has been amazing to all of us, and it's continuing on. My situation is that we're going to be moving part-time, half-time roughly, to Colorado, and we have both daughters and grandchildren, as you probably understand, in Fort Collins. And so just makes a lot of sense that we spend more time there. So it's been an obvious big life's pleasure to me to have served not only the county, but also in the city of Santa Barbara for quite a few years. And I'll miss it, but I can always check it out online, I guess. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don, for your service, your wisdom as well that you've imparted on all us youngsters.
I'm only leaving because Sharon won't be gone, and it's really, I just can't stand being here without Sharon.
Oh, I couldn't say
We're all dropping like flies, I think, if Sharon can keep it together here.
I need to say, if I may, that Don, I just love working with you, and you're such a gentleman, and I appreciate that. And you always let me know when you were not going to be attending, always. And I just appreciated your knowledge and your expertise, and I really think you helped the architects out there when they're stuck. You could tell, and you had such really insightful advice, and your knowledge just, I think, really help people through the process. So thank you, Don. I'll miss you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Anybody else, please?
Yeah, Don, it's been a pleasure working with you, and you've greatly contributed to the board.
Good luck, Don.
Thank you.
Don, I've known you for years, have nothing but the highest respect for you in all aspects. You will be missed.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Now, having said that, is there anybody else that wants to resign today? Okay, good.
Do we have a big shoe replacement for Don as well?
I've got some ideas. I don't think this is any discussion about this occurs under the Brown Act. So if people want to put out some ideas, I think we can all do that. I did check with Lisa Plowman about this specifically, and she said, yeah, you guys don't vote on it, so you can chat about it. Okay.
I forgot to mention, John, the best part about all this is no more Form 700s to fill.
Oh, yeah.
You have one more to do, buddy.
I did it already.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Done.
Good, okay. Okay, staff update, please.
Nothing, nothing for
Thank you.
me. Sorry.
Okay, item number 1. Olivia, are you here with us today, or is it somebody else? Item number 1, right-of-way south of 1950 North Jamison Lane. Is there somebody here to represent that project, please?
John, did you have a consent item today?
Yes, but it was dropped.
Oh, I see. Okay, sorry.
Not a problem.
So John, I have somebody on a phone, and if they want to talk, you need to do, what was that, Kimberly, *6?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Tim Mahoney here with Southern California Gas Company. Olivia's trying to get on, but the link isn't cooperating. I had a bit of a tussle getting on myself, but I'm here for SoCal Gas. I'm not sure who else. Al, maybe here.
Yes, Al Vasquez as well. Yes.
Okay, excellent.
I
How
just
about,
sent it to she should have gotten the invite.
Yes, can you hear me? I just was able to
Yes,
unmute
we
right
can
now.
hear you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Good.
The floor is yours. Whomever wants to take it, please.
Okay, let me start off real fast here. Do we have Adam from the Montecito Water District with us? He was here last time.
Yep, Tim, I'm here.
Okay, super. Thank you. I think we're all here today. So let me just start it off before I turn it over to Al and Olivia. Of course, we've been before the Montecito Bar before. These are the data collection units, which are part of our advanced meter network, where we read your natural gas meter and my gas meter electronically by wireless technology. In order for that to happen, we have to have these data collection units in various sections of the community so that the reads from the meter have a place to go, so to speak, can be collected and then sent on. We have put several of these, actually dozens all throughout Santa Barbara County. And of course, we're with you today on this particular site. So that's kind of the groundworks here. So Olivia or Al, why don't you take it away and we can all jump in as we go.
Sounds good. Olivia, you gonna
Hello,
take it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just say a few words. So my name is Olivia Gutierrez. I'm the project manager on the site. And I did want to mention that, as Tim said, we have been exploring options, different locations for this particular site. In the front, I do want to say that we have moved this site several times. We did begin to explore site options on Sheffield Drive initially. We were up off of Sheffield, and we worked with our planner, Katie, as well as the resident near the location we initially chose up there to try to find a better location that would be less intrusive and less obvious to the community. We ended up moving it further south where we're now proposing it, which is right on North Jamison Avenue. At this point, we feel like this location works not only for the fact that we're lumped in with the other existing above ground utilities as per the ordinance that requires us to be, but we're more away as much as possible from residents that were in the area, so they wouldn't be able to see it and it wouldn't be so obvious to them. And I've attempted to make sure that we were proposing a location that was set back far enough from the road so it wouldn't be in the way of any potential vehicles that may, sometimes the vehicles jump the curb and it could be a safety issue. So at the end of it, this was for our network and for Montecito Water, because they will at some point look at this location as a co-location, because we are working with them to do that. It just became the best option. Al, do you want to add to that?
Yes, yeah, in addition to that, I mean, the elevation at this point is one of the higher elevations closest to the ocean, to the beach. So that also provides us the necessary coverage that we need to be able to give us the communications to the meters as well. So
David, can you zoom in on that site plan? I had a little trouble figuring out where it was till I really studied this, please. So right below Ortega Hill Road, right there at the intersection?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sorry, please go ahead.
Well, that site is also very nice because it is a site that, you know, has a fair amount of other utility and transportation items there. So it just kind of fits in with the existing infrastructure that's at that particular site. You can kind of see it snuggled right in there between Jameson and the off ramps, and right in there by 101. Yeah.
And David, if you can scroll down, I thought they did a very good job on their photo sims.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree with you, John. I think they did their presentation is just fabulous and very clear, and I know we're supposed to be in questions, but you know.
Not yet. They're still making their presentation. So
yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to add in here? We'd love to hear from you if you do have something more.
Yes, also as far as the equipment at the very top, that's the gas company's equipment. We can also powder coat the equipment so that it can eliminate any reflection, or, you know, so it'll be brown, so it'll mix in with the pole as well, so that way it doesn't stand out as much, just to minimize the impact of the visibility.
Is there anything more, please?
I think the other thing to note aesthetically, with the trees that are all around there, it does blend in with the existing infrastructure that's there, which has always been one of our goals. Likewise, when we ever come out, one of our goals is to have as few of these facilities as possible. That's why when Al was mentioning the height, we get better coverage on a higher plane than a lower plane.
Does that do it?
That's it. Yep. We'll answer any questions unless Al or
Nope,
Olivia, do you have anything? Adam, you good?
Okay, we are in questions. Tip, please.
No questions.
Elida, please.
I'm curious, are those solar panels there?
Yes, they are.
And a more general question, whatever happened to the whole concept of putting all utilities underground? So when the winds come and the rains come and so on, we don't lose power, which we seem to do all over California. Is that ever going to happen?
Well, I can answer that kind of in a general sense. Yes, California and many other places are moving towards utility undergrounding. It's of course very popular. Now there are trade-offs when you do that. SoCal Gas, our pipelines are already underground. So we have very few above ground natural gas facilities. Our sister utility, San Diego Gas and Electric, they are in the process of undergrounding, as is Edison and PG&E. But like I said, there are trade-offs with undergrounding.
Okay, thank you.
David, questions?
Yes. Is it possible to locate the pole closer to the trees to further help screen it?
Al,
Over to the
I
right.
don't believe so, but Al?
It's really up to Olivia as far as the requirements from how far we have to be from the street. So, and make sure that we stay within the public right of way. Olivia, do you know how much leeway we have there?
If I can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. If you're asking me to go further to the east,
That's correct.
I probably have a it would be further east, right? I could probably have a little bit of wiggle room, not too much because of,
We lost you.
and there, I would have,
You're breaking up, Olivia.
Olivia, we're losing you, please.
trans right of way is versus the county's right of way. So if it provides room for me to move it to the east without touching Caltrans property, I can definitely look into doing that.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I would have to circle back. Yes. Mhm.
That's my question, John. Thanks.
Thank you. Don Sharp, please.
No questions.
Blair,
No questions.
Bill,
Yeah, I know we've probably asked this before of other utility companies doing the same thing. Is there a way to combine your equipment on an existing pole? I know that is crossing with Edison and all Cape Cox and all the rest of the folks. Is there a way to combine your equipment onto another pole that's existing?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we certainly do try and co-locate, and Montecito Water District, and we've been working pretty well together to do that. In this particular photo here, you know, that's a Caltrans street light, and unfortunately, we've not been really able to get Caltrans to let us put stuff on their street lights. So that's why in this particular instance, we're having our own pole, and we'll work with Montecito for a co-location on that they can use. But we do try and co-locate as much as we can. One of the problems, and I'll close on this, and somebody else could talk more if they want, is you see those poles in the background with all those other crossbars and lines on them.
Yeah.
That makes that totally impossible for a variety of safety reasons and interference. You know, there's just no more room on all these poles that are there. So that's the other problem. We're kind of stuck with not using poles that are existing poles because there's already so much stuff on them.
So so what you're saying then is that this equipment could not at this point can't be collated over across the street on that pole over there.
that's correct. Because of the high voltage.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify that, you know, because I mean, obviously, I mean, that's what Bill is pointing to is that could this be collated, you know, collected, and we've got a pole across the street, but obviously you can't do that with right here in this site because there's too much stuff across the street. Is that why we have this pole here?
Yes.
Then
Okay.
last question. You're going to have conduit, I assume, running down the pole too. And is that, are you able to color that a brown also?
Yeah, there is a ground cable that goes down to the floor to a ground rod. And yes, that is going to be encased in wood encasing so that it matches the wood.
Oh, in a wood encasing, not
yes, not a conduit. That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Yep.
Katie, are you with us, please? I saw you earlier.
Yes, I'm Katie. I'm here.
Okay, I have two questions. Number one, once this thing is approved, this location, can cell tower equipment be put on here without coming back for any further review because the location has been approved?
No, so there's a couple different tiers in terms of cell towers. There is a tier for co-location and small facilities. So I actually worked on one that went before your board a couple months ago in which they were just going to put a cell site on an existing utility pole, but it still comes before your board.
Even though it's been approved, my understanding of federal law is once a location has been approved, anybody can jump on board. Do I misunderstand that provision, please?
As far as I'm aware, once a utility pole is approved by your board, it's just a location that these other cell site carriers can kind of stick onto, but they would still have to get approval for their design, height, location, things like that.
Okay.
It does, I guess, to further answer your question, cell sites that would be co-located on existing poles, they're a lower permit path, so they might not necessarily need to go to the planning commission, but they would still have to be reviewed by your board.
Okay, public, thank you very much, Katie. Public comment. Anybody want to address us on item number 1?
There was one last-
Southern California Edison Wood utility pole near 1950 North Jameson Lane, please. Anybody in the public, please?
Mr. Barrett, hi, Woody, would you unmute yourself, please? There you go. Can you unmute yourself, Woody?
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can.
Yes.
Please keep it brief. You're theoretically 3 minutes, but Woody, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I'm sitting in the Messina Adobe at the base of Ortega Hill. I'm on in the second story. I have a glimpse of the ocean right at that stop sign where they're going to put this pole. This pole will cut that view right in half. So if you go back to that picture, we've owned this property about 12 years. Over to the right, with all that massive amount of Edison work, those are our pine trees that are on top and over those poles. But the pole to the left with the 3 rings around it, I believe that's just like Cox cable and things. I don't think that very top it has, electrical current. So I don't know if that pole can be used or not because of things they brought up. But the further you can move that pole to the east, the better for my little glimpse of the big blue out there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Woody. Anybody else, please?
I don't see anybody else's hands up.
Okay.
Wait, I spoke too soon. Mr. Feist, hold on. Can you unmute yourself, please? Jason? There you go.
Hello, folks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I see a little PDF I put together that kind of was popping up that I emailed over to you folks. I don't know if you can do that, but we live here at 1950 North Jameson. It's a property owned by my wife's family and has been for many generations. The pole location we're opposed to, as Woody mentioned, for when we have a pretty nice view. That pole is literally, if we look out our living room and dining room window, we'll be staring directly at it. And, it's, without being an eyesore, it's definitely going to set a precedent for cell carriers. I've worked in telecom industry actually 20 plus years, and I'm well aware that it's going to set a precedent, but it does seem like it's in a location that's not ideal for us by any means, as you can see.
That's one thing that.
Bob Easton, please mute yourself. Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry, sir.
Not a problem.
Thank you, Bob.
So as you can see, that's the view looking directly out of our house. We have a small sliver of ocean view as well. That, again, we're looking right out our dining room window. If you scroll down, I got more pictures in this presentation as well. And I've been witness to many car accidents at this location. I see a pole being an issue there. Cars pull into that spot. There's not really much protection for the pole. The other thing I'd like to comment on is that that's the only wooden utility pole, I think, on that whole side of the street. So as far as the comment of it being clumped together, I disagree. The wooden pole line for, the utility Edison, Verizon, cable is on that side of the street pretty much exclusively. So I don't really see that being a clumped together type of scenario. I see it more as an isolated eyesore, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think of some of my other comments on there. But the biggie is just the view. You know, I mean, you're sticking a big 34-foot wooden pole right there, right outside our window and, you know, I mean, that doesn't even touch on the RF concerns. And I did see the EME study from EBI, but, you know, like I said, I work in telecommunications and I'm well aware of the validity or invalidity of those reports. So.
Thank you. Anybody else, please, Sharon?
Nobody else has their hands up.
Okay, I'm going to close public comment. If we are cutting somebody off, please do not be shy. Do whatever you can to contact us. Okay, we do want to hear from you. Comments, Tip?
I have no comments. Thank you.
Alitem?
Well, it's a shame that SoCal Gas is up on here, but this is just goofy. I mean, the only thing that's in the 20th century is Caltrans pole. The rest of it is 18th century stuff. It's a moan and a groan that our infrastructure in this country and in this state and this community hasn't gotten with the times. This is just goofy looking. That's it.
Okay, David, please.
Yeah, over the years, we've reviewed a lot of these proposals and they're always very difficult. What I do find positive about this location is that it's across the street from the adjacent residences and there's quite a bit of distance relative to the usual situation, including those poles that are closer to the houses. I think if the pole can be moved to the east, the tree will help screen it and it will be much better for the neighbors who've spoken. So I would highly recommend that the applicant research that and make that happen. And then I would vote for having the box equipment that's attached to the pole painted brown to blend with the pole. And those are my comments.
Thank you, Dave. Don, please.
Yes, I agree with Dave that anything can be gained by moving it east should be explored and re-reviewed by Montecito. It's a shame, but I certainly understand progress goes on. Thank you.
Claire, please.
I think I agree with everybody with comments that have been made, and I think moving forward, my recommendation is to move it to the east, especially when you can actually see it. The one photo that the neighbor across the street took, and where you can see that you could just move it all the way as close as possible to this one. Okay, so I mean, there's no picture of the pole in there, but there's the Troutham's pole there, and then there's the oak tree. If it was just moved to right by the oak tree, it wouldn't impact the view that the two speakers came to. So I think I have no problem with it, having a pole, but I think it needs to be moved so that the two owners of the properties can have their view and the pole can go to the east of the Caltrans light pole. So that's what I would recommend.
Bill.
Yeah, I agree with other board members' comments. To the east is better for sure. The color brown best, hiding the cabling going down. But I would still, if there's still an option, look at co-locating some of this, if it's even an option. It may not be, as they say. One's got high voltage lines on top of the Cox cable. It's already such a rat's nest of wires up there that what's another box? So I would certainly vote for that over it sitting by itself, but if it's got to be by itself, then moving it east and coloring it brown and making it hide away and the plants would be my desire. So thank you.
Okay, and I'm the last one. Olivia, are you still on the line, please?
Yes, I am.
Okay, would you mind if Katie gave your phone number to the two neighbors that have been concerned, and perhaps the three of you could get together? Would that be acceptable to you, please?
Of course.
Okay, and then you could actually get on their properties and see what they're talking about and try to figure something out. Would that be acceptable to the neighbors, please? Woody and.
Yes, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Okay, so if you guys could work that out, and Katie, before you, excuse me, Olivia, before you get there, please figure out where the right of way is and where the property lines are, et cetera. So you're playing with a full deck of cards. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. We are on for concept.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll participate in that meeting as well. Tim
Excellent.
Mahoney.
Excellent. Okay, there is no motion. We are on for concept. Everybody, please have a happy holiday. Item number 2,
John,
yes.
Could you let the planner know what you would recommend the item come back for? Further conceptual, preliminary? What is your recommendation?
Yeah, let's come back for concept, and if everybody's okay, we can put it on to consent the next item.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's keep that open though. Thank you very much. Dave Mendro has a conflict with this, so he is out. Item number 2, 2662 Sycamore Canyon Road. Dave, are you still going to handle the screen?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So we have a comment letter, and did we have previous minutes or not? I don't think so.
No, we've never seen it before, John.
Excellent. Okay, there is a comment letter. So would Haley or whomever please speak up, and let's get started on this, please.
Yes, good afternoon, Chair Watson and members of the board. My name is Haley Kolosecki. I work with SEPS, and I'm the agent for the McCardle Castle residents before you today. Before our architect dives into the plans, I'd just like to clarify one item on the agenda description. With regards to the earthwork, we are proposing 500 cubic yards of cut rather than 1,000. So it's actually less than what's on the agenda, but I did just want to briefly point that out. And I also just wanted to provide a little bit of context behind the scope of work. So the owners of this beautiful 3-acre property are triathletes, and they would love to be able to train in their own backyard. So one of the components of this project is a new lap pool, which you'll see in just a moment, and also an accessory structure, which will be used as a pool cabana. And then second, we're removing a small portion of the existing residence and adding a second story. And this is going to serve as a more private upstairs master suite. And then there's also several site improvements, which are going to enhance the existing pathways throughout the property. And our landscape architect is on this call as well and available to speak to that a little bit more. And just wanted to note that we've met with our planner on site, that our team is here, and we're really pleased to be presenting this project to you today. Guadalupe, did you want to dive into the plans?
David, before we do that, can we go down to the FAR worksheet? I'd like to point out some things.
Oh, okay.
To the board.
I was just trying to get there.
If you look at the upper portion, you'll notice that there is no second floor, that's the majority of the work. And so it took me a little while to figure that out, and I just wanted to speed things up for everybody. So the primary work is a brand new second floor. Thank you. Please go ahead. Haley or whomever.
So this 99% is accurate. That's where we're at.
Yeah, I did not calculate it, but it looked right.
Okay.
So Haley, who's up, please?
Guadalupe and David.
Yeah, can you guys hear us?
Yes, we can. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm David Pascu with Abramson Architects, and Guadalupe Gonzalez with Abramson Architects. And Guadalupe is going to walk you through the plans.
So hello, everybody. First of all, thank you for having us.
As Haley mentioned, this property is located on Sycamore Canyon Road. It is accessible through a private road. If you could please zoom in a little bit on the vicinity map. And as Haley mentioned, the lot is 3.09 acres. You already discussed a little bit the floor area calculations, but that's correct. We are about at 99%. And if you go through the next pages, I could explain a little bit about the existing accessory structures and existing house and the new scope. These are just a few pictures of the existing residence. If you could go please to S1, the survey plan.
Down below there, Dave.
You have a
Know which
page
page it
number,
is in the
Guadalupe,
PDF?
rather than a sheet number.
Or, oh, the,
I think
it's about the 5th page.
Yeah, S1.
Yeah, but do you know which?
Dave, you can see
there
it
it
on
is.
the
I see it.
left. There
I
it
see it.
is.
Yeah, right there.
There we go. Thank you so much. So we see the existing footprint of the house that we are mostly preserving it. We are also preserving the detached 3-car garage. We also see here that there's an existing swimming pool with a spa, and we also have an existing guest house that it will be converted in the future into a new ADU. Please, next one. So here in the demo plan, we see just that little portion on the south of the house. This is actually the master bathroom. So only that part we are removing from the main house. Then the other areas that we are removing are planters that are located down the hill. We are also removing a few retaining walls and a few landscape paths. Next one, please. So here in the proposed site plan, we see a little bit better the scope that we are proposing. First of all, in this darker gray area, in the main house, we see, thank you, we see what it will be the second floor addition. And as Haley explained, this was triggered by the desire of the clients of having a more private space. So we are locating here the master bedroom, bathroom, and their closet. We also, the rest of the house will still be 1-story house. We also see here that we are proposing in the lower level one shaded structure for outdoor dining. And then north, we see the proposed pool cabana, and towards the right, you will see a new trellis and a new lap pool. There we go, thank you. So we manipulate the grading a little bit. For example, for the proposed cabana, the level of the roof, it's only 2 feet higher than the floor level of the main house. So we are not obstructing any views placing that building there. Also for the lap pool, we picked a location that it was relatively flat in the lot, and the lap pool is only 4.5 feet deep, and it's partially above the natural grade. So we are eliminating a little bit of grading work there too. Next one, please. So here we have a few side sections, and we are showing that we comply with the maximum height for ridge line. We are under the 25 feet in the main house, and we are below the 16. Yeah, there we go. We have the dashed line as an indicator, and we are below the 16 on the pool cabana, which will be, yes, thank you. Then we have the floor plans that I think that we can skip for now. So please, we can jump to A300, which are the elevations. Yeah, that one, thank you. So for the elevations and the design in the facade, we wanted to keep the original character of the architecture. So we are preserving most of the materials that are already in the existing house. You will see pictures that it will show everything in a more accurate way. This is just a symbolic way of showing the materials, but the beige color that you see are the original plaster walls that they will be preserved. We are also keeping the siding, and we are repainting that siding in a very similar color that it will blend nicely with the rest of the materials in the house. We are also keeping the existing copper roofs and copper walls. And the only material that we are replacing will be the stone. And we are thinking about proposing an elongated brick, and I have a picture that I will show you later. And also, we are thinking about introducing one new material that will be a vertical screen, that it will be built from metal fins, that you see that in the first elevation. Painted a dark color, yes. And if you want, I have a material board, I think it's A408 with some pictures and diagrams to show you. It's right there in the top.
Right there, David.
That one, thank you so much. So in the middle, we see pictures of the existing house. Thanks. So there will be the existing copper applied to walls and to the roof details. We are keeping that, and the new roofs will match this existing detail that we have in the lower level. We are also preserving the plaster walls. That's the second picture. And again, the new plaster walls will match the existing plaster that the house has. The third picture is the stone that we will be replacing. And the fourth picture is showing the siding that it will be repainted to a very similar color that we don't know specifically what will be yet, but it will be the same kind of like earthy tone.
Neutral.
Exactly, that it will blend nicely with the existing materials. And on the right, we have some inspiration images that I want to show you. Thank you. So here we have a few examples of the doors and windows that we're thinking about using. The second picture, it's an example of this vertical screen that we want to introduce. And the third picture, it's an example of this elongated brick that we talk about. We also have a few rendering images showing the second floor addition. So thank you. The first one, we have kind of like the area of work highlighted with this dash white line. This is the view that is facing the mountains, and it's quite open already. So we thought about continuing with the same language for the second floor. And we also see on the right side, the new shaded structure that we are adding to the lower level. And if we go to the rendering that it's next to it, we see the other side of this addition that it's facing the main entrance of the house. This part is a little bit more private. And also we thought that it was interesting to incorporate another material so that it's just a vertical screen that it will be applied over the plaster wall, just to create some rhythm and not create a very monolithic look, right?
A little more interest on that. Otherwise would just be mostly a wall with no fenestration.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. One nice thing about this, and this is just a rendering, so it's not expressing this very well, but on the right side, we have a lot of mature oaks that are providing kind of like a natural screen for this part of the house. So they will bring some natural privacy that it will be very beneficial for this addition. And the last rendering that I would like to talk about, it's right at the bottom of the, thank you. So this one is showing the proposed pool cabana. We are also planning on having a green roof. And as I explain later, you can see here more clearly the way that we are manipulating the grading and how that terrace is just a couple of feet higher than the level of the main house. And it's also following the existing geometry in a very organic way. I think that we can jump to the landscape design. Here we go.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff. I'm the principal at Surface Design, a landscape architecture firm, and I'm the landscape designer for the project. I think the big idea behind the landscape is to work with the existing grades in a sympathetic way. Our client has asked us to kind of simplify and make more legible circulation around the site. I think you can see from this plan that we're organizing a lot of the new gardens and circulation around this idea of a circle or a knot, if you will. And our idea is that the overall organization of the landscape works with some of the arcing curves that already exist within the house, and in some cases complete the curve. The program, as Guadalupe and Haley mentioned earlier, is to add a new lap pool kind of in the upper corner of the site in this drawing. And we're really trying to use the landscape structure and organization to provide really legible and accessible routes to and from the house and the new pool, and to and from the house and the existing pool and new pool. The planting is, while not completely finished in design, will be largely native plants. We are going to draw, the existing house has a really spectacular collection of native plants. We're going to be reusing the existing plants as much as possible. Any new plants we add will be definitely drought tolerant, largely native, with some introduced Mediterranean species. If you look at, we're trying to mitigate grade differences primarily adjacent to paths with large locally sourced boulders, which kind of pick up some grade differences between the planting areas and the paths. Materials in the landscape will be very sensitive to the site, and the desire is to have them blend into, like, we're using a lot of new stone and decomposed granite in the project, and the idea is to have them be sympathetic to the colors of the site and sympathetic to the earth tone colors of the buildings. Two new pieces of landscape program we're adding is there's an existing potager garden towards the right-hand side of this plan. We are proposing relocating it so it's next to the kitchen, and it'll provide a lovely kitchen garden for the clients. You can see 3 arced terraces on the right-hand side of the plan. Those are intended to negotiate some steeper grades there, and also to provide some space for a fruit orchard. But I mean, actually, probably the biggest intervention in our landscape plan is to reinscribe and replace a lot of the existing plants on site. But the plant palette will be very much in keeping with what's there. And I don't know if you want to.
No, I think
Sorry.
that.
Are you done there, Jeff?
Yeah, I just wanted to just kind of, I wanted to let everybody know we're working with Duke McPherson who's our consulting arborist on the project. We are not proposing removing any oaks or any native trees on the site. It's going to be a very light intervention in terms of removing trees. Most of them are mature trees that are non-native, and the reason we'll be removing those trees is to support new landscape program and support new paths that we're inscribing into the site.
Haley and Guadalupe, are you done then, please? Yep. Okay, thank you. Questions? Don?
First question is, have you been to the fire department with your site plan?
Fire marshal. We actually had a Zoom call a few weeks ago. The main access, if you want to go through the site plan, I can explain a little bit the feedback that we received. Thanks. So the main access that you see on the left will be the primary fire access road. Instead of a hammerhead, he proposed that we can give him a space, an area that will be around 50 by 50 to maneuver the truck. So if you see, we have already an area in the middle of the driveway. So we are working with the landscape team and we are redesigning this main entry a little bit better. In regards to the secondary access, right now what is existing is just a path. There's no driveway that is connecting to the existing guest house. But the client expressed a desire once we finish all the renovations to have a proper driveway. So he also recommended us, if we're gonna pave it, to have a minimum road of 12 feet wide. And yeah, we are working on those things, and we are working with our landscape and our civil engineering to implementing those changes.
Fine, thank you.
Sure.
No other questions.
Bill?
Yeah, where is the 500 cubic yards going or coming from? And is there the ability to keep it on site as well by doing a fill somewhere?
I can go to the civil sheets. Let me see what number is it.
Well, is your question, your question is just where is the fill coming from?
No, where is the cut coming from? And you're showing it exported, I think, right? Not, are you planning on balancing?
No, it's I think it's a net import.
So you're going to try and balance it on site. That's not the notes, or did they say that? I guess it did say.
No, it doesn't say that. She didn't say that earlier.
It said 1,000 and 1,000 cut, 1,000 fill. So
Yeah, that apparently is a typo that Haley mentioned at the onset. So
Yeah, we're importing.
It's a net import of 500. That's the rough calculation from our civil engineer at this point.
And where are you doing most of your 500 cubic yards of grade cut? Where is that?
Phil.
Oh, it's
filling.
Only fill. Oh,
well, no, it's a net 500. So there is cut the pool cabana. There's some cut for the pool cabana because we're nestling a little bit into the hillside. There's also going to be a little bit of cut associated with the new lap pool.
And we can go to the sheet C100. That is the preliminary grading plan. And we see how the grading is a little bit distributed all along the property, and it's not mainly focusing just one area.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go, C100. So as David mentioned, there's some grading work around the cabana, mainly in the middle, and then also going towards the curved planters that are down the hill as well.
Okay. And then are there, I mean, this is kind of a flag lot, really. It's back in the back there. Is there views from neighbors to your property? Are they looking down onto? Are you up high?
There are some properties up above, but they're extremely shaded or covered by trees. I've been up on the roof. We've actually, all three of us have been up on the roof, and standing on the roof, you really can't see. You can see the property. There's, 3 properties above. You can't see any of the structures because of the existing vegetation and trees.
So they're the only ones that are higher on this image here that Dave's showing us to the left. Those houses are a little higher, and the folks below you, are they not going to see your second story, I guess is the question.
Well, Bill, I think we need a site visit to determine that, so.
Yeah, well, I thought I'm leading to that eventually in the comments part, but yeah. Okay, that's fine. That's great. Thank you. I think that's all my questions.
Claire, please.
Yes, looking through the package previous to the meeting, there's a sheet in the landscape package that talks about tree removal. I mean, that's not, I mean, oh, okay, here it is. Okay, now, so you're slating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What are the species of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 trees that you're removing from the site?
David, it's in the table in the lower left-hand corner.
Right, 17 for, oh, here it is. Okay, I see. Crepe myrtle, olive fruit, gum, arbutus. Oh, so there's only one oak to be removed.
And diseased.
Well, again, indicated as diseased, but one oak indicated as diseased. So all the other ones are just, and what is the reason for removing those?
The reason for removing those trees is a combination of site grading and location of new paths through the project.
Got it.
And our intention, we haven't developed the final planting palette. Our intention is to replace those trees with some new native trees.
Oh, got it. Okay, yeah, that's kind of when I looked through the plans, landscape, it kind of went, whoa, why are we taking out all these trees?
Yeah.
Because I'm a tree hugger, so I don't like plans where the trees have been taken out. That is fine. That was my question.
I'm a tree hugger too, Claire, and we're gonna hug a bunch of new trees together when this project's done.
Okay, that was my only question that I had, John.
Lighter.
I just wanted to touch on Bill's comment again. It looks like the second story is kind of in the middle of the property. So there is at this point no worry about neighbors being impacted, that we might want to do story polls or anything like that. This is more of a question of the applicant and the other board members if
well, we'll do a site visit and look at story polls when it's time.
Well, if we ask for it, as I understand it, so.
And you have questions, so are you asking for them, please?
That's what my question was. And secondly, it appears that with your landscape thoughts that you're going to be doing native and more drought tolerant. Does that mean there's going to be a minimum of lawn area and more native grasses that you'll be using? And have you had a chance to do a Wheelo calc on this property?
No. So our next step, we just talked about this earlier this week as a project team, is we need to bring in an irrigation designer, develop our final landscape design, and do the Wheelo calcs on it. We will be doing Wheelo calcs. I won't say that so there is an existing lawn in the project, which is slightly uphill from the existing guest house. And the client appreciates that very small patch of lawn, and we will be essentially retaining the same area of lawn. It's hard to tell in this Google Earth image, but yeah, who's ever moving the cursor around is doing a really good job of indicating where the existing. Yeah,
Okay.
Is that it, Elida?
Yes, thank you.
Tip?
I have no questions.
And I have no questions. Public comment. We did receive a comment letter, and if the world will permit me, number one, I think it's a she, if I remember right, cannot attend today's meeting for some reason. Yes, Beverly, and was very concerned about how close the northern property line was, or the improvements to the north property line. So if that could get clarified on the plans, that would be appreciated. So is there anybody else that would like to address the board on item number 2662 Sycamore Canyon Road, please?
John, I have a couple people attending, but nobody's raising their hand.
Okay. I'm going to close public comment. Back to the board for comments. Do you believe we need a site visit and other comments, please, Don?
I have no further comments. Thank you.
And site visit, yes?
Yes.
Bill, please. Bill? Hello, Bill?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, site visit, story polls, absolutely.
And any other comments in the meantime?
No, I think once we see the property, then we'll know a little better as to what's going on, and yeah.
Okay, thank you. Claire, please.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I really like the project. Let's put it that way. I do like the project. I have a concern about this new road that goes along the property line that is in the setback. And yeah, so right here, okay, so there's the property line, and we've got a 14-foot road right up against the property, almost right up to the property line. This is of a concern to me. And so I would, as you're developing your design and everything, I want you to continue to see if you can get this away from the property line and actually onto your property rather than in the setback. So that's just something for you guys to be looking at the next time I'll bring it up again. Yeah.
Are you done, Claire?
Yes, yeah, that's all the comments. I mean, I think the project is, I mean, really fascinated to get on site and really look and see what this is all about. It's really an interesting piece of property.
Elida, please.
Good eye, Claire, on that. Yeah, I think a site visit would be helpful for all of us.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, Tip.
I definitely think that I want to see the site and the story pool, then I can make comments. Thank you.
I think it's a very nice project. I think the existing house is quite nice, and it looks to me like you are making the second story essentially invisible in terms of it being a remodel. So nice job on that. I think that we should have story poles, and normally we only ask for second story poles, but I am somewhat concerned because the neighbor to the north is the one that asked the question about proximity.
Yeah.
And I notice that the cabana is fairly close to that person's property and has a roof deck, and I assume lighting as well. So I think that we should have an understanding of where that is in relationship to the property line, how tall it is, etc. So do people agree with that?
Yeah, that's fine. Just put just put 4 posts in the ground.
So David, I think it's up near that where it says view number 2, that structure there, we should get 4 corners. Just right there where the garden roof, that whole area, and then the second story roof, the brand new second story roof. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
And applicants, do you understand what we're asking for, please?
Yeah, with regard to do you want just the corners of the
Yes.
cabana, or so not elevated?
No, it needs to be elevated. How much okay, you're blocking my view. You're looking at my daughter swimming. You're going to have too much light penetrating into my property. Those are the things we hear. So please give us all 4 sides so that we know that none of those conditions will be true, or how will it be mitigated so that it is not true. Okay? And we can't understand that without those story poles up at the roof level, please. Yes, somebody wanted to talk. Chip, was that you? Somebody else? Okay, so there is no motion today. So we will, I'd like to thank you for a very nice presentation. I wish you happy holidays, and we'll see you next year. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much for your time today, and happy holidays.
And John, I believe that you'd like to have them come back for further conceptual then?
Yes, please, further
Thank you.
conceptual. And it should be noted that Dave Mendro recused himself from this. Okay, item number 3, Miramar, 1759 South Jameson. Bryce, are you with us today or somebody else?
I am. It's can you guys see me?
We can see you. Hi,
Okay.
Bryce.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you again. Good afternoon, Chair, MBAR members and staff. It's great to be back with you again. I'm not sure if you've had the opportunity, but we last saw you last year, as you know, and where you approved Bungalow 1, which we're going to be discussing some revisions on today, as well as the location where we opened our new sushi restaurant, which we appreciate your help on that. It's been a huge success and really adopted and loved by the community. So we're really happy to report that here today. But we are back today with revisions, proposed revisions to Bungalow 1, based on a lot of feedback that we've received from potential resort shop operators. So we'd like to share that with you today, as well as revision as well at the northwest corner of the Manor House. And I have Dave Williams back with me in this meeting, who, as you know, is Caruso's Chief Creative Officer and Head of Design, and responsible for the design of the Miramar.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay. Perhaps so the plan that's in front of you, we do have our FAR table on this page, which is very hard to see, but it does show that we are under our FAR limit per our notice of final action. You can see we're 0.4, sorry, it's very small on my screen too. I hope you guys were able to see that. But 0.243 versus 0.25, which is our FAR threshold.
May I interrupt, please? For members of the board that are not extremely familiar with the FAR calculation, the residential portion, which is what we do almost always because we look at residences far more than commercial, is a guideline. This is actually in the ordinance, and they must comply with 0.25 or less. And so what Bryce is doing is demonstrating that he is doing that. So, but this is a zoning requirement. This is not really an architectural comment. Thank you, Bryce.
Correct. Thank you, Chair. If you could please zoom back out. Sharon, is that you driving, or who's driving? Just so
Dave Mendro.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you, Dave. Sure. I know that's a lot of stress. If you can please maybe zoom in a bit where those two leaders are going with the notes over by Bungalow 1 in the northwest corner of the Manor House. So this is reflecting the existing condition, which Bungalow 1, which is on the left, that bungalow is currently approved for resort shops and restaurant use. And today we're coming back with some, as I mentioned, some minor architectural revisions. All of the materials are the same materials. All the detailing is the same: window details, sash details, door details, lighting details. It's all consistent with what you've approved throughout the property. And then, so we'll look at that in a moment. And on the right, which is the northwest corner of the Manor House, we are also looking at a revision there to allow a resort shop as well on that corner, and we can look at that detail on further pages. Maybe we can actually skip down to page 3 if that's okay. Okay. So what this demonstrates, again, on the left is the current MBAR approved and county approved plan for the resort shops in Bungalow 1. And as you can see, essentially what we're doing is filling in some of the existing patio alcoves, as well as adding a small amount of square footage to respond to feedback that we've received from resort shop operators themselves. And I'm going to give a very high level description, if it's okay, and then turn it over to Dave Williams, who can speak much more articulately on the design. But in essence, the feedback that we've received is the resort shop operators are very attracted to the aesthetic that we have at the Gatehouse, which is the building that currently has James Person at the motor court, as to how the architecture speaks to the use inside. All of the landscaping that's out front, all of the trees remain or are modified. The palette's the same. We're not introducing any new landscaping. It's the same palette. And maybe if we can flip to the elevation, which I think is on page 4, I'll turn it over to Dave.
Here we go.
All right. So, Bryce, can you verify, is this the most current elevation?
It is. It is. Yeah. On the upper, that's the most current.
Well, I'm talking about down below. There was.
Oh, you know what? No, it's not. No, that's not. That's the version. You're absolutely right, Dave.
Gentlemen, we have this before us. If you'd like to ask for postponement because it's not current, we'd be happy to grant that to you. Otherwise, this is all we've got. So please, okay?
I have a
your
question.
Choice.
John, would it be okay if I just show from my screen somehow that it's very similar, but it's not the final?
We don't
have it.
No. He wants to share screens. Bryce, we never do that.
Okay.
We want to make sure that the planner has had a chance to review it, all that good stuff. So.
Okay, Willow, are you there? Willow, are you able?
Yeah, I'm on.
Because this is not the latest one that we uploaded on November 4th.
Yeah, I thought I uploaded the other one.
I don't know if we're able to see if it's in the box and maybe just somehow the wrong file got opened.
Well,
Bryce, this is, I think, what we have. Do you want to keep going, or would you
Okay.
like to come back?
I don't know, Dave, what do you think? Should we come back at
well, I mean,
let's go through it and seek some guidance.
Okay.
If there are
concept
comments.
review anyway, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the concepts are still the same, and Bryce already touched on the architectural detailing and the leasing team is in love with the coach house. And when that building was designed, it was contemplated to be a multi-tenant building. James Peirce ended up leasing out the entire building. So this building is shown in this version of it and when you see the more current version of it, it's pretty benign, the difference in the elevations. But the vision here is that this building could be 3 or 4 tenants. I doubt that it would ever go to 5 tenants, maybe even goes down to 2 tenants. But that's going to be a function of leasing. So the idea was to create more of the presence that the gatehouse building has, keep all the architectural detailing exactly the same, material coloration, lighting, etc. And on the garden side of this building, which we can go to that elevation as well, there's virtually no change to the garden side. So the idea being that what the guest experiences currently on the garden side of this building will never change. We're very sensitive to the constructability of this project. We want things that can be panelized, that more shop fabricated framing can occur, and that we're just infilling areas more than we're tearing down or constructing new buildings. Obviously, there's interior walls and partitions that will have to be removed and some header beams and such installed. All that work will be done after the building's enclosed so that we're kind of mitigating the impact to the overall resort. And then if we could go back to the front elevation. So the majority of the work is actually on this side of the building. And it simply is to get more of that gatehouse stature and appeal. We actually think this works very well as a transitional one-story architecture to take you from the manor house into the bungalow areas where, you know, as you can see up above, that scale is slightly smaller. But again, not appreciably different due to the one-story nature. Let's see, have I got everything? Do you think I'm missing anything here, Bryce?
No, I think that you've got it. It's really, you can see we're leaving, you know, many of the existing architectural elements in place, and really just making some kind of rather surgical element, you know, edits to have it kind of be more indicative of the gatehouse style architecture, which the resort shop tenants gravitate toward.
And the main building down there on sheet 7, please.
Oh, yeah, that's where I was going to ask you to go.
Yep.
I wanted to see what's happening with that.
All right, so the goal here is that we have a we're going to combine some of the interior space of the manor house that isn't as highly utilized and put a new bungalow facade on this corner. So the idea wants to be that this feels as if it's the same scale as what's happening across the fire lane where bungalow 1, which we just talked about, is located, and also that it relates to the coach house or the gatehouse that's on the other side of the motor court. So this corner of the building is intended to feel kind of separate and standalone from the manor house on the north side. And the way we think we're...
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, so the way we think we'll successfully achieve that, I'm doing a little annotation here. Currently, we have a 10-foot hedge that runs all along this frontage. We want to stop it here, expose this corner of that new bungalow scale building so that it's visible from both the motor court, from the gatehouse or James Purse tenant, and it's also something that you see into the property a little bit more as you come in the main entry drive. The original concept was to try and close that down as much as possible to restrict views in. You still got quite a bit of views in. You still get a little bit of noise infiltration there. And there's just a ton of stuff already happening on that fire lane with the fitness center and outdoor fitness happening there. all of our room service traffic, all of our housekeeping traffic, all of that stuff happens on that street, which makes it a little bit different from the rest of the bungalow areas, which are much quieter, much more kind of tranquil and private. So that's one of the reasons why, we see this conversion as a very positive thing for the overall resort. Although we don't really have any issues, we think that this will kind of help with all that activity. It'll give it more justification to be a little bit more commercial in that zone and a little bit less of bungalows facing into that very busy fire lane area. Hopefully all that made sense.
Can we go to number 12, sheet 12?
And 11.
Dave?
And 11.
11 and 12. Yeah, okay, that's what I want to know. I want to see about this.
Let's see. Oh, these are kind of garden details that are happening at the pedestrian scale to create a little bit of a private courtyard in the potentiality that one of these tenants wants to have that kind of entry court feel more private, feel more private to them, more part of their retail display. So if we go back to the site plan,
Yeah, where are these things?
Yeah, so the one more, if we go to the bungalow one.
Bungalow one.
Yeah, here we go. So the idea is that in this location, oops, sorry about that.
You can see them there on the plan.
Yeah, we need to scroll down just a little bit to kind of get
New low wall to match
There we
existing.
go. Okay, so if I could just circle that area. So the idea here is if this ends up being one tenant in that end space, that they would also have like a little courtyard area that if they had any kind of outdoor type offering that they wanted to display there, or if they had wanted to serve lattes or glass champagne or something while people are shopping, this would be a nice place for someone like me to hang out while my wife is shopping and that kind of stuff. So, that's what these little gates are. They're not driven by any of the tenant input. It's just something we wanted to get in there in the event that the tenant wanted that kind of courtyard that was exclusive, more exclusive to their retail space.
And then these are the site pictures of bungalow one. You can actually see that corner condition at the manor house on the upper left.
Right, that's what I was trying to get to. Okay.
It's very much almost back a house now, Claire.
Yeah, as you can see, this is that gap in the fire lane and this hedge. We kind of want to open this whole thing up to get more of a view into the resort.
All right, thank you. Does that finish the presentation, please?
It does. I think the only thing, John, and that I would point out is that also on the manor house, it's consistent material palette. We're not introducing new materials or colors or anything. It's all consistent with what we've done throughout the property to date.
Thank you. David Mendrell, please.
I don't have any questions, John. Thanks.
Bill.
Yeah, hey, Dave, go to that bungalow one plan real quick. On the existing bungalows, you show little patios off the back. Those were probably little private patios. Are those all getting eliminated? And is that going to get a whole new landscape feel back there? Because it looks like it faces onto a green space that maybe is shared.
They're getting filled in, as you can see in the, maybe Dave, you can use your
So we're filling this one in. And then this guy, if it remains, we would keep it furnished exactly as it is today. These patios, kind of hit or miss as to whether guests are sitting out on them or not. So we think that we would keep the exact same furnishings and maintain it out there so that there's virtually no change to the backside of this building.
But it is, I mean, it's going from a living space to retail, right? So the function would be very different, I would imagine.
Well, no, the idea is that this would be just stage set more or less with furnishings and the existing landscaping that's out there, and that it would not be any part of the retail offering.
Yeah, the west side won't have a retail presentation.
Yeah, it's meant to just kind of
blend in
and not change anything on what we're calling the guest side of this building, the guest residence side of this building.
And I know this may or may not be part of our purview. Planner is going to review that, but obviously the retail is a different parking number than the sleeping spaces. Are you having to fill with your parking adjustments, or
we absolutely have studied it, and we actually studied it based on the plan that's in front of you, which is about 200 square feet bigger than what we intend to do. And it works just fine. We actually have surplus parking.
And the last question is the intention to kind of keep this still to feel more residential, and the impact on the residents as it becomes more retail? Does that, flow of traffic and shoppers, and, you certainly don't want it to become a mall.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
And one of the reasons we kind of created these more densely packed in landscape pockets is we didn't want this whole facade to read as one continuous. We're trying to create this illusion that we're breaking it up, and I think it'll be pretty successful. We've done it in other projects, and this, as I was trying to explain before, this fire lane gets a lot of activity on it, and although we don't hear a ton of complaints, there have been a couple about just how much activity is here, and especially if somebody's patio, like this kind of thing, where you actually have a patio that's out facing the fitness center. There's not as much privacy there as, when you get deeper into the west portion of the bungalow area.
Just to clarify though, that point, that's when those were guest rooms. And that's one of the rationale for why we thought it was appropriate to convert the east face of this, to a commercial use, because of that exact reason, where you had guests essentially staring at the manor house and at the fitness center and whatnot. And this just felt like a more conducive adjacency.
And your signage for the retail spaces and all of that will be on a much more subdued
Absolutely
scale, more, it's not neon and
Bill, very consistent with what you see at the resort today. It's all very subtle. It's wall placards. It's, the scale is, very residential, very approachable, just like you see throughout the resort.
And no internal illumination of signage. It would be illuminated similar to what we have today, where it's just, kind of a subtle downlight on the sign.
Great. All right. Thank you. That was all.
Claire, questions?
Yes. Can we go back to these posts, or the posts? I'm actually think the project is great. It's just I have a concern about the size of the post. Yes. So what are these consistent with the posts that's at the front entrance, or are they smaller?
Much smaller.
These are significantly smaller, but you know what, Claire, I think this got a little bit away from us. I would not support the 4'2" either. So we're gonna take care of this and drop them down.
Oh, so we're gonna scale back on this the new pedestal. So we're gonna scale it back. Okay,
Yeah.
that was my thing, is they seem to be oversized to match up with the cottagey feel that you're trying to maintain. Now we're gonna have two big posts out in the middle. Because I actually go to the Miramar quite often. I absolutely love the Miramar, and I love having lunch there. And for having these two posts where you're proposing them, they're just too big for me.
And I agree with you, Claire. And
Okay, fine. So when you come back, can you scale them back?
Yep.
Get
Done.
it style. Okay,
You
that
done
was-
there, Claire?
Yes, I am.
Chip? Question?
No questions.
Don?
No questions. Thank you.
Elida?
No questions?
Can we go to the first sheet, please? I think you skipped over something here, right there in the, where is it? Upper right-hand corner? There was something about the number of units that you had and the decrease over time. 170 units, something.
All right, are you saying hotel rooms?
Yes.
Yeah, so
What sheet is that on, please?
I don't,
I saw it somewhere.
There
this
was
morning.
there was a separate, let me,
I can tell you I can tell you the answer, John.
No, I'm just interested in having the board
There you
be
go.
able to see this. Okay,
Sure.
so back in 415, the top line, they were proposing 170, and they're now proposing 154.
Well, actually, it's 154 today. So as it's approved today, there's 154. We're not changing the number of guest rooms.
Okay, very good. So,
Yeah.
very good. And then,
Yeah.
did you want to add something?
Well, it just, when the hotel opened, there were 161 guest rooms. We never got as high as the 170.
Yeah, that's the 2016 SCD1, where you probably remember we came back with fairly elaborate revisions at that point, back in 16. And that's what we ultimately built, was the 161.
Okay. And then the second question, you've alluded it. This zone is a cottage hotel zone. And it looks to me like this proposal is moving farther and farther away from that. And at least in this portion of the project, is becoming more of a commercial zone. Would you like to comment about the look and feel based just on usage, not on the specific proposal?
Definitely.
1 second. If you are not speaking, please turn off your mic. Somebody's got something going on in the background. Bryce, please.
Oh, sure. So we as you point out, are very sensitive to scale and very sensitive to the aesthetic and the ambiance and the feel when you're a guest at the Miramar or a community member enjoying lunch, as Claire had mentioned. So scale, materials, all of those things are very important to us. What we're also responding to, which is what drove this kind of endeavor back last year when Bungalow 1 was initially approved, was resort guests want to, more to do on property, want to shop on property, are looking for places to grab a bite and to spend some time. When you're on vacation, people love to shop. And that's really what motivated the conversion of Bungalow 1. And then I think as the design team looked at this, the only real change that we're talking about in terms of use is what's happening at the northwest corner. And that's really to balance out that experience between what's happening at the Manor House and what's happening with the Bungalow 1 shops across the street. But I hear and 100% agree that the scale and look and feel, it has to be consistent with what's happening throughout the property. And that's our goal as well.
Thank you. Okay, public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 3, 1759 South Jameson Lane, the Miramar, please?
John, I didn't receive any letters, and there's 2 people in attendance, but their hands are not up.
Okay, let's go to comments. David, let's get started with you, please.
Yeah, I I like conceptually what they're proposing. I think if you're going to make the transition to more commercial, this is the right place to do it along that fire lane. And I think they've maintained the scale of the project. And I actually like the architecture better, both on the cottage side and especially the main building side. I think it's a nicer experience for people who are visiting. And I like how they're preserving the feel of the cottage on the opposite side. So to my mind, what we're looking at now, which of course you need to come back and show us your actual drawings, but the direction you're headed with this makes a lot of sense to me. And I can support the concept.
And where do you think they ought to go next with us, please, David?
I'd have to see the next plans, but if that's hard to say without seeing the actual plans.
So preliminary would be as far as you think we should go next time.
Yeah, given that we don't know what the plans are, that I wouldn't. Well, I don't know. I guess they could take the risk and do a full set of plans, but I think it'd be better to come back for preliminary and then final on consent.
Okay, Bill, please. Thank you, David.
Yeah, I agree with Dave. I think I like the direction you're going. I don't have any problem with what you're proposing. I think it does look nicer in many cases. And I would encourage, as you've talked and we've kind of prodded, that you keep that sort of very neighborhood feel that it has, and and not let it go sideways and become just all shopping, which I know you're not going to do.
Absolutely.
I would say in terms of, coming back, I think maybe a little bit of landscape where you're dealing with that. We're going to want to see that. So, address new landscaping and maybe clarify those rear patios off the bungalows a little better if you want. Delineated in the rendering of the landscape plan, if that works. And otherwise, and then any site lighting and maybe even an option for your proposed signage, just so we're all on board with what that would be. I know you don't have a tenant, but maybe you have a specific size of the sign and how you want to light it. You could add as a detail, which maybe you've done before already. So.
Absolutely. We do have the signage indicated on the plans right now. You can see it's very discreet. Yeah. But we'll definitely highlight that for you. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be great. But otherwise, I think you're heading the right direction. I'd be okay with having you come back for preliminary and final on consent.
Claire, please.
I agree with the comments that are made. I mean, I think what they've done is consistent, and it actually kind of looks like it belongs there. The new plan for proposed east elevation that's on the bar, it really, I mean, it's very Miramar-like. The difference between these two buildings is not much. It just, made them a little fancier for the shoppers. And so I think they should come back for preliminary. And when they do come back for preliminary, I would like to see a reduction in the size of the posts and that whole conversation. And then we can go from there.
Thank you, Claire. Tip, please.
Yes, I agree with all the comments made, and I do think it actually looks better than what you have now. And I definitely have a lot of faith in the team. I think they take these projects seriously. I really like what we did to the new sushi house. It was a lovely addition to the hotel, and the work was done very nicely. And it obviously was very expensive, so you probably don't see much of me at that place, but I enjoy it. It was fun. And so I think that, they can go ahead and, as far as I'm concerned, come back with preliminary, final, and move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Don, please.
Yes, I certainly agree with all the previous comments. It's always occurred to me that it's more important to them than it is to us to have a successful project and design. And I think looking at the two, the proposed is far superior. And so I think it should come back for preliminary and final on consent.
Thank you, Don. Elida, please.
You know, it's a charming and elegant remodel. It's so in keeping with the rest of the resort that's already up. It's a nice project. It has been all along for years. It's well done.
I have little to add. Please come back with representative details, if not more, landscaping, lighting, all of it. I think it should, because you don't have the actual drawings through no fault of your own, but we don't have them, so I think it should come back for preliminary. I'm assuming it's going to get that. We'll drop you onto consent, and then you'll be able to get that in 2 weeks after that.
Beautiful.
John,
yes.
might I ask a question? The board was kind of evenly split between returning for preliminary and returning for preliminary final. Do we want
I
to
only heard Tip say final. Am I wrong about that?
I think Bill also mentioned preliminary final.
Bill? Bill?
And Don did mention that too.
Don did, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think my proposal was to have it come back for preliminary and then final with final on consent, you know. I think that's my thing. I think this is one that I really think should be full board preliminary and then final on consent. That would be.
Don, that's what I heard you say. Did I misunderstand
Yes, that's
you?
exactly what I said.
So it's not as evenly split as you thought, Kimberly.
Apologies, I must have misheard, Don. So return for preliminary?
Yes, and then we'll get them, presumably, they're going to get it just right. We'll get them on final the next, consent the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a nice holiday.
You guys too. It was so great to see you again. Look forward to seeing you hopefully in about a month.
Yep.
Okay.
We're
Thanks,
here.
everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye now.
Okay, item number 4, 2775 Sycamore Canyon Road. Steve, are you here with us today, please? Please, Steve?
John, I'm
Yeah.
going to recuse myself from this project.
As you did on the previous hearing. Steve, are you here,
Yes.
please? Steve House.
Can you hear me?
Now we can. Okay, good, Steve.
Okay.
So the floor is yours, please. Oh, wait, hold it. We have minutes. Please, minutes, somebody?
Well, they're right there on the screen.
Yeah, if I'd stopped talking, I could see it. Project acceptable, clarify entry gate and wall design, provide landscape plan. Don, since you're recusing, can you turn off your mic? Turn off your video.
Yes.
Thank you. Steve?
Okay. I apologize. There's scant details on this plan owing to a miscommunication with the case planner, but the project has also changed quite a bit since you last saw it. To refresh your memory, it's a combination of a freestanding detached ADU and a 2-car garage. And of course, the ADU doesn't require your review, but our original intention was for the garage to be attached to the ADU and to take advantage of the 4-foot setback from the rear property line for the ADU. So in the process of going through planning review, it turns out that an ADU over 800 square feet has to conform to the same setbacks as the main residence. So we have a 25-foot rear yard setback. And as well, the garage being an accessory building can't be attached to the ADU. So we had to separate it by 10 feet from the ADU. So basically that grouping of the two buildings moved from 4 feet from the rear property line to 25 feet from the rear property line, though it's still set back. Well, you don't have the architectural in front of you, but there's a dimension to the front face of the garage, and it's still pretty substantial. The other thing is that the trellis attached to the ADU, as I had it drawn previously, it was determined to be an accessory building, which once again can't be attached to the ADU. It's no longer an accessory building if it does not have a solid roof. So that's why I removed the solid roof. It's basically just a trellis. And that had to be added to this set of plans for your review because it's no longer part of the ADU. And there's also a minimal trellis connecting the ADU and the garage. So basically the garage is what you saw before. It's got two 9-foot wide wood garage doors. And there's sections, elevations, but like I say, not a lot of detail on this set of plans. So I'd like to get a preliminary approval today. And of course, if you were feeling so inclined, you could give it a final, which my client would certainly enjoy. But, and then there's also the entry gates, which are unchanged from before. It's become apparent that I can't have the gas lanterns. So those will be LED when it returns again. But the height of the walls that are within the setback, I guess it is, have been reduced. So they're the 6-foot maximum.
Ah, perfect.
So Steve, are you done then? It sounds like.
I believe I am. I thought that our landscape architect was going to be attending today, but I didn't hear back from her and I don't see her name on the screen. So I can't really speak to the landscape plan.
Steve, who is your landscape architect?
Jessica Harlan, is that it?
Oh, right.
Yeah, Barefoot Design.
Right. Yeah, I don't see her.
Okay, Steve, there was a historical report attached. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that was, the client provided me with that. I can't remember the name of the person that wrote the report, but it was determined that the existing house had been so significantly changed that it was no longer of any historic.
Less than significant.
Yeah.
Dr. Nye. Okay, so are you now done, please?
I guess I am.
Okay, so questions, Tip.
I just have one question for the applicant. What is the plate height for the garage?
10 feet.
Is there a reason why it's 10 feet?
My client is a general contractor and he would like to have larger garage doors and larger interior height for his pickup trucks.
And then which a follow-up question. So what is the height of the garage door A-strong?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What is the height of the garage doors A-strong?
They are 8 feet tall.
Okay.
I feel they're in scale to the overall elevation of that gable end.
But not really as tall as the building.
No.
All right, thank you.
Elida.
No questions?
Bill.
Yeah, Dave, go to the first sheet, cover sheet there. And this might be a question for Kimberly. Is it okay to have trash in the setback? Is it in the setback, Steve?
I don't think it is.
No, I think it's out of the setback.
I couldn't tell which your setback line was there. It looked like it was in the setback. Can you zoom in there, Dave?
I think on A 3.0, there's a larger scale drawing.
Does it show the setback line too?
There you go.
You're not showing your setback.
Well, I would have thought it would, but so yeah, maybe we need to go back to a site plan.
Anyway, can it be in the setback, Kimberly?
So fenced, but unroofed, so enclosed but unroofed garage, or excuse me, garbage containment area has places to put those. Are treated like fences and walls, and at 6 feet or less in height, they can be in the front yard setback. Yes.
Okay.
Once it gets a roof on it, it's a structure, and then it has to meet the setbacks.
Okay, great. Okay, that was all. Thank you.
Claire,
This is actually a pretty good drawing. Can we shift it? I can't quite determine, Dave, can we oh, what happened to it? So I see the stone wall on the front, which is the front of the property, along Sycamore Canyon with all those lovely little stone walls. Then I see a drawing that it says hedge. And so you're putting in a big hedge there. Where exactly is the new 6-foot wall?
Well, the hedge is existing. Unless the landscape architect has something on there that I don't know about, but on my plans, that's the hedge that's defined on the survey.
Right, but
and
where's
then
the
the
wall?
the 6-foot wall is not extending all along the front, it is just around the area of the entry there. Otherwise, I think there's an existing fence.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was so confused about this
Well, you're most
wall.
welcome.
Yeah, I was just going, where is this wall on the plan? So it isn't going along. It's not like a lot of people on Sycamore Canyon. They have the stone walls, the old walls, and then they'll do something behind it to rate because of the sound. I would do the same thing if I lived on Sycamore Canyon. So so the wall isn't the length of the property. Then
No.
it's just around the layer. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay, I'm good.
Good.
okay, David, please.
Yes. How visible is the garage to the neighbor to the north?
I would say not visible at all because I believe there's a hedge and maybe a fence all along that line.
Is the garage recessed down grade wise here, or is it at grade relative? Is it at a higher or lower grade than
It's
that?
lower than the adjacent residence.
Okay. And are you cutting this down or basically just putting it on grade?
It's dropped some so that the garage and the ADU are at the same elevation.
Can I chime in?
Sure.
The new garage, the ridge point of it will be right at the neighbor's hedge, maybe a foot above it. So they really can't see any of it, but maybe a foot of the ridge.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Those are my questions.
And I have no questions. So public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 4, 2775 Sycamore Canyon Road, please?
No, John, thank you.
I'll close public comment. Back to the board for comments. Tip, what do you want to do with this thing?
Are you asking me?
I am. Board member Tip.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Well, it's a very modest project, but I just can't get over looking at the garage of how low are the garage doors and how high are the plates. So I think based on the size and based what I've seen right now, the size of the garage doors seem like they are 8 foot. I think the plate probably should go down a foot. That might look a little better proportionally. That's
Or taller garage doors?
well, I mean, when you look at a taller garage door, then it can look like a firehouse down the line on Sycamore Canyon. So, and we see straight on from Sycamore Canyon. I know with the gate in the front, I'm not sure what can you see past the gate, but the side pretty visible. It's very visible side. And so I feel that unless there's some really specific requirement for that garage, I would like, especially facing out to Sycamore Canyon, I would like to see if it can lower down a foot to 9 feet plate.
Okay.
Thank you.
Elida.
No comment.
Bill.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Tip on this. The proportion just feels a little tall, and one option might be to add some kind of a lattice or something to break that high gable end wall. I mean, I like the simplicity of the architecture, but it does feel awkward in terms of the scale. So either lower it, to 9, or maybe, do you continue a trellis element over the top like a lattice or something? I don't know if that would be effective or not, but anyway, those are my comments. Thank you.
Claire?
Did you say me?
Yes, Claire, comments.
I'm okay with this project. I don't really have much further to say,
Okay, Tip, excuse me, David.
Yes, I definitely agree with Tip. That was my thinking from seeing it. The garage seems out of scale for its use and also for the other structure. And I would highly recommend they consider lowering the plate height or addressing that, because right now it doesn't look right, and especially if it's visible, as Tip says, from the street.
And from the hedge to the north, as was
Yes,
stated by
exactly.
the
Right.
applicant. I tend to agree with that, and so I would be ready for a preliminary approval, but not a final. Steve, you need final drawings, all the details and, color board and the whole thing, lighting fixtures. So preliminary, yes, and you can get into the building department if you want. But we are on for this. Tip, did you want to make a motion for this since you kind of led this charge?
Oh, if it's okay, this is for preliminary approval, am I right?
Could I ask that you continue it to consent for final?
Yes, I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah, so I would like to make a motion for preliminary approval with the applicant to with final on consent with the applicant to restudy the front elevation of the garage, either to lower the plate height or to address the scale and the proportion of the garage doors facing Sycamore Canyon.
As the reviewer on consent, I hate to bring this up, guys, I don't want to make that judgment call. So if we want to have a judgment call as part of the motion, I would like to see it come back to the full board. If you want to lower it to 9 feet, I'm good.
I agree with you, John. That was going to be my suggestion as well.
So what do you want to do, Tip? I'm good either way. I just don't want to take on that responsibility. I think that's the full board's responsibility.
It looks like my client would like to make a comment.
Sure. Ryan, please.
Yeah, I would really like to we're trying to keep the 10-foot lid in there so it matches the ADU. Also, I had plans of maybe putting a golf simulator in there, and I need that 10-foot height, to be honest. Can we just throw a trellis over the doors? Or some kind of a decorative feature?
Well, so perhaps I hate to see this thing back to the full board, but perhaps it should.
Yeah, I think it should. I think they should. I think your original thought, Mr. Chung, was to give it preliminary and have them return after they've restudied the garage.
Well, but
so let's have it return to the full board, John.
Okay, so since it's kind of up in the air, no motion for preliminary today.
No, we are granting preliminary approval.
Okay, so you want to grant it preliminary, but with a
comment to address.
Coming back to the whole board.
Okay, I'm good with that. Is that what the rest of the board would like to do, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second for that motion, please?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion, please? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Don Sharp recused himself from the deliberations. Have a pleasant holiday, everybody.
Thank you all.
One more
Happy
question.
holidays to you.
I have one more question real quick before I go.
Fine.
The gates, I need to have them fabricated. Can I start having them fabricated?
Anybody got troubles with the gates?
You mean the front gates at the
Yeah,
front?
the entry gates, yes.
I have no problem with the gate.
Neither do I. Anybody?
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, happy holidays, everybody. Item number 5 55 Crestview Lane. We have minutes. Good, well thought out project. One member expressed concern regarding the grading. Provide landscape plan. One member recommended giving additional thought to the location of the bocce ball court. Consider relocating structure away from the adjacent neighbor. Majority of the board did not believe a site visit or story polls were required. Choose a paint color with an LRV of 84 or less. There was also a memo that we received with the planner saying no comment. So, Steve, are you here for this today or somebody else, please?
I'm here.
Okay, so the floor is yours.
Blake, I was just going to do a quick intro. Steve Fort with Suzanne Ellis Planning and Permitting. Blake Herbst, our architect, is here, and Kaylee Grubb, our landscape architect, who I'm sure you all know, is from Arcadia, is here. Generally, I believe it's pretty, I wasn't here for the last visit, but it's pretty much the same project. The bocce court has been removed. There's a landscape plan for you to view now. We have a color and materials PDF here, since we're here for preliminary. Our LRV is below 84, and with that, and we are, as Kylie said in our memo, she didn't have any comment. We're moving right along with Kylie, just a couple of loose ends, and then we think our LUP is going to be approved. And with that, I'll hand it off to Blake.
All right. I think we can just go sheet to sheet, and I'll give you a quick refresh of everything and how we massage the plan to address your comments. I don't think we need to go over FAR, 88%. We're well under that. All right. The survey, if you go back up to the survey, this is the one where we have that our existing driveway drops down, it had a really steep slope and came out at the intersection. And we had placed the garage on the west side, northwest side of the property to kind of remove that hazardous condition. If you can go to our next site. That's our site plan. It's our fire protection plan. And now you can see our new garageway, and our addition is the garage that's pushed into the hill, and then a bedroom on that back side. I added these site sections to kind of address our grading comment. And I think that the key part is the garage and the retaining walls around the garage. Last presentation, we had a 12-foot retaining wall, and we were able to reduce it to 9 feet. Now that's that dimension on your bottom right at section 1. So it kind of matches the height of the garage. And then we have nice landscaping that rolls around and really hides it in the hill. You'll be able to see that. And then you can see the existing versus proposed grading, where we really utilize that flat part of the backyard for the pool, fire pit area, and our so really the bulk of the grading is the garage, and we tuck the garage into the hill in a way that it's not blocking any of the neighbors' views. Here's some of the existing conditions. You can see some of the trees here that will be removed are damaged, and I'm gonna let Kylie touch base on that, our landscape architect.
Why don't we finish with the architecture first?
Yep. Here's just a demo plan where we had this north-facing large overhang that we're taking back to let in some of that north light. Moving the master bedroom onto that side, so have views of the mountain, taking advantage of our views on the east elevation with the living room opening up. This is our proposed roof plan. Here's our perspectives. The bottom right is the retaining wall that you were kind of concerned about. And in the top left is a good perspective coming up the road where it's really not very intrusive right there. In our elevations, kind of showing the same things or sections.
We are on for preliminary. Go ahead, please. Just so everybody knows where we are.
Yep.
Details.
Details.
Want to jump in, Kaylee?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kaylee with Arcadia Studio. And so I was not able to attend the last meeting to present our conceptual plan, but I think you guys got a feel for the site layout. The major change, or consistent with what you previously saw, but the major landscape change to this project is that we get, as Blake mentioned, we get to remove this driveway that this U-shaped driveway that took up most of the front yard. So we get to give that back to the garden for the owner's use in a much nicer presentation to the neighborhood. We've gently terraced the front yard to allow for a walkway and stairs up to the front door, but naturalizing it into the hill with sandstone boulders. The paving will be Cherokee Creek's flagstone, and the walls will be clad in sandstone, so all keeping in the native sandstone color tones. And as we move, sorry, Blake, are you driving, or is someone from
Dave Mendro from our board is driving?
Okay, thank you, Dave. We just wanted to know who I was speaking to. Dave, if you can, actually, I can speak to the garage area. So the garage is our connection to the western portion of the property that's across that easement. So if we've used the opportunity that retaining wall presents to have a stairway that connects us to that upper section of the parcel, also utilizing the height of that wall to create a trash enclosure. Sorry, and then we can move now to the east end of the house. We've created a sort of modest terrace with some flagstone stepping stones to it on the east side. There's a indoor-outdoor fireplace, so that terrace will be utilized from the outside. And we're knitting it into the grade, so we're trying to avoid any need for guardrails, and then also buffering it with planting as we get to the planting plan. And then we travel around with more stepping stones to the backyard, where, as Blake mentioned, we have the pool and some outdoor living spaces and a fireplace, fire pit. We've significantly reduced the amount of lawn, and the clients really love the Mediterranean and ornamental grass plant palette, and so we're going with that. There's a outdoor barbecue area, but very modest in size, just the barbecue and a little counter space. And then just a stepping stone paths knitted into the planting to access the various doors, keeping it very natural and connected to the garden. The lighting is very minimal. We're just proposing it for circulation safety where there's stairs or pathways to the main areas. No downlighting or uplighting is proposed. So we can go on to the demo plan, because that's where we show, so you can see that we're removing significant amount of the existing concrete from the site, so that we can create more intentional outdoor living spaces around the house. We've also documented the proposed trees to be removed and to remain. We're not proposing to remove any native species, and for the most part, we're removing either trees that have pretty poor form. And there's some olives and acacias that fit into that category. And then some eucalyptus that overhang the house, and the owners are perceiving a fire threat from them. So we're keeping a significant portion of the eucalyptus grove that is on the property, but removing the ones closer. And then we're proposing a significant amount of, we're proposing 7 new 36 and 48 inch box coast live oaks, as well as many more new trees. And I can show you on the planting plan that. It's just irrigation, hydrozones, willow, and we got to do double documentation for irrigation because we're on, was it Blake, was it because we were on city water, even though we're in the county?
Yep. Yeah.
So that's what busyness on that sheet is. But other than the small stamp of lawn, we're pretty low water use, especially as we get further from the house, a lot of native ground covers and grasses. And close to the house, we have where we need some screening, we are using bay laurel as the screening shrub. We're using, Dave, do you mind scrolling, zooming in a little bit? So yeah, we're proposing, we're just gonna quote the quantities of the trees on there. So there's one beautiful deodar cedar in the eastern portion of the property. And so we're wanting to propose a couple more of those since we are removing a few of the eucalyptus, proposing another tree that could potentially be a skyline tree. And then the oaks and some cercis and some olives. And you can ask me any other questions if you have about the plant palette. And I think that completes my presentation.
Steve, Blake, and Kaylee, are you done, please?
We're done. There is a PDF of the color and materials if you want to look at it. I think it's.
Yes, thank you for reminding us.
A separate PDF?
As well as a grading plan. But
yeah, and then there's a grading there too. But other than that, I don't have anything else to do, Blake.
nope, I think that's it.
Thank you very much. Questions, Elida?
I'm new to this project. Is this all new construction? Is it a new home that's being built?
No.
No, it's
It's a remodel?
with a small addition. Yep.
Okay. No questions.
Bill?
Yeah, no, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
David?
No questions, John.
Yep.
No questions.
Claire?
No questions.
John?
No questions.
And I concur. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 5, 55 Crestview Lane, please?
John, I didn't receive anything and no one is here.
Okay, thank you very much. Comments, we are on for preliminary only. Can I just ask, does anybody have any problems with this? Do we need a motion? Who wants to make a motion?
I'll make the motion for preliminary approval with the applicant to return on consent.
I second that.
Any further discussion? Anybody need to say anything about this, please?
All I would add is make sure you have your chimney cap detail.
I love this guy.
Your details for your porch there, because I think the porch is new, right? The covered porch.
Yep.
And check your rate detail. The boards on detail 4 looks like they're running in the wrong direction. So otherwise, looks good to me.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was a very nicely done project. Do not be shy with details, is what Bill wanted to say.
Excellent.
So we have a motion on the floor. Was there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Passed unanimously. Please have a nice holiday. We'll see you
Final on
next year.
consent.
Final on consent.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. And Sharon, thanks again.
Okay,
She's
well,
probably muted.
item number 6, Mr. Easton, 1186 East Mountain Drive. Bob, are you with us, please? I saw you earlier.
Yes, you can hear me,
Excellent.
right?
I can. So the minutes, Sharp move, second by Wolf, carried by a vote of 6-0 to grant preliminary approval, return to the full board with detail. So what have you done here, please?
So,
Details.
well, what we've done is detail the eaves, coordinating them with the structural information from our great engineer, Bruce Resnick, and show those details of the interesting study window that is in the kind of the middle of the house, the upper floor. And then the owner came to us with the idea that he wanted to use the Tesla shingles for his solar system, with of course the Tesla batteries. And previously we had shown standard solar panels up on the upper roof, but he is proposing the Tesla shingles, and what they have is a requirement of about 1,200 square feet of shingle for this particular size of system he wants to do. But we have a roof area over the garage and bedroom wing that is a little over 2,000 feet. But they do make a compatible looking shingle that is not hooked up to the system. So you can have any area that you want and then designate a certain specific area to be solarly activated. And so the elevation of the pitch they recommend for maximum efficiency for their shingles on this particular installation to be a 2 and 12 pitch. Now, if you go to sheet number 11, and we can get there, it does create a pitched roof over that area there. But if you look at, is that sheet 11? What we're looking for, maybe I have a.
Oh, I see. It's your page numbers. You're looking for page number 11.
Yes, please. There it is, BB, section BB, at the bottom of the page. We've got we're showing the pitch of the roof, of course, not really interrupting the height requirements that we have to comply with, which is the 16 foot and the 25 foot overall dimension. And so it seems to me that this is a rather elegant solution because it doesn't involve conventional panels sitting on top of roof. And we really don't have any other room on this property since it's so constrained to put panels. And so we have to put them on the building, and this seems to be an elegant way to go. Now, our planner, Tatiana Cruz, said that we're not really going to be in compliance, that the shingles would have to be on a 4 and 12. But I said there's no advantage to us in any way, shape, or form to be on a 4 and 12 pitch in that particular installation. And so it would come down in her mind and my mind too, that you folks would have to determine that this is an appropriate solution to the solar issue that does resolve the solar issue in a very benign and aesthetically consistent way. And so that's, I think, really the only change that we have really been through from the preliminary approval to this particular presentation. But this particular presentation does go into more details in regard to the finish, and in particular, the overhangs that are again, a desire of the owner to have these angled overhangs and eave lines. And so on sheet A16, we show the details. And they are done with wood framing and attached to steel in the more conservative expression at the garage and the master bedroom. And then at the living room, we are cantilevering steel and then attaching wood to the cantilevered steel. And that shows on A16. Door and window details are on A17, and that's really the architectural story in regard to any evolution or change in the preliminary approval.
And is Sam with us today?
Yes, hi, John. I'm here and I can kind of talk to the landscape. It really has not changed very much. We did have some extra fill generated. So there's a wall that was placed on the south side, and we filled a little bit and created a little level area below on the south side of the garage. If you zoom in, you can see a little slope in there, which we can then go to the planting plan and show you how we've handled that with native coyote bush and many native type of compatible plants to this oak kind of grove area and olive grove. It's very a natural site. We're preserving that native natural sense. Thanks for going to the planting plan, Dave. So as you remember, there was some issues with the lower neighbor and certain concerns about seeing this new residence above. So we created an alternating spacing of new field-grown olives with stone tree wells because we are on a sloping site. So we'll have level areas to create some new large trees with the spacing that makes it feel like an olive grove or olive orchard, an old one up in the slope hillside area. We've also created some screening to the driveways and the other properties to the west. You'll notice we've got some screening of Rhamnus and Laurus nobilis and Westringia, Wanabe gem. So native and subtle colors to blend into the chaparral. This is going to be a contemporary home, but the landscape wants to be very quiet. The sloping property areas are going to be rosemary, all kept very low, all working with fuel management and high fire. So those are the real changes, but it holds true to the theme that we've showed you before. We are taking out 4 oak trees because of some of the grading and the new footprint of this configuration of home, and showing 16 different mitigation trees in the light green color that mix with the olives and mix with the existing oaks. So we really feel like this will blend in quite nicely for the property owner. And the reason we're using some decking on the south side towards the pool is because we're in proximity to an oak tree, and we'll be doing work with Duke McPherson to make sure we have pier footings that miss any roots of that one tree that's in the center and the trees below. And it just makes for kind of a nice hardscape, softscape around that new linear lap pool that you see. But the rest of it will be stone paving and pavers. And I think because of the extent of the driveway at this point, it is now and it's to remain asphalt. So I think those are the highlights. We've done all the WELO calcs and we're way under our allocations because we're doing such low native water needing plants. So this is a very sustainable natural design that should prove the test of time and be very low maintenance.
You down there, Sam? Yes. Claire?
Yeah,
quick?
can I ask, yeah, I just wanted to ask Sam a question about the irrigation on this, if that's okay?
Can you hold that to questions,
Yeah.
please? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Is the planner with us today? Please? Yes, no? the
Oh, I'm
planner?
unmuted. Sorry, I was unmuting. Hello, Chair. Yes.
Okay,
So Donna
so,
Cruz, I'm here.
so Bob made reference to the 4 and 12. I'm assuming that what that is the fact that you are permitted a higher roof because when it's sloped at 4 and 12 or greater. Is that correct? And if that is correct, what authority do we have to grant an exception or a statement of overriding considerations, et cetera, please?
Yeah, so we had discussed the change in the solar system plans, and I had presented, the options for height limit exceptions via approval by the MBAR. And so that was either for the MBAR to, review and comment and offer approval of this height. And you can see on these elevations that are on screen right now, how it's on the hillside, and at one point where it sort of drops, there's portions that exceed the height. So if the BAR finds that this is better for the project and architecturally, otherwise I had told the applicant that the only other way to have a height exception would be to add a 4 and 12 pitch, which he was, explaining may not be best for that solar system.
So the bottom line here is drawings are acceptable as presented if this board feels that this is a good design. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. We are into questions, please. Claire, please.
Yes, I just wanted to go back to Mr. Mathis for a moment. Sam, just looking at the overall landscape plan, and given your WELO calcs, I'm kind of just curious from this is having been in the world, all of this, everything that you're doing, say, well, let's just take the Baccarat slope, what it looks like. Is that good? Is that going to be dripped, or are we just going to leave all these native plants to the help of God as far as keeping them alive?
No, Claire, we need to establish them in a clean and good way through the early stages. And that the natives will take off later, say a year or two. But if you go to L 2.1, Dave, which is a little further back, you'll see that the irrigation plan has a main line that attaches in the north or the southeast corner. That's 2.1. That's the WELO calcs. There it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't see this before.
Yeah. So Claire, we've got a main line that loops around the house and allows for evening the pressure. And then we go out to the driveway because we're going to be planting along the drive on both sides, actually. And then we go up into the top part of the house with valve manifolds that will allow all drip. There's no spray systems. We're going to establish
perfect.
these.
That's what I was trying to find out. I was just trying to find out whether that's how it was designed with drip, and there was no above grade or anything. It was all
correct. It'll all be buried drip lines, and then everything will be in gopher baskets, and we'll do the best to establish our tough plants with a little bit of help when they start.
Good luck with those gopher baskets.
Anything else, Claire?
It seems like my whole life was about making gopher baskets, but anyway, that's fine. Thank you.
So you understand.
Yeah, I know I do.
Don Sharp, please. Questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Bill, please.
Yeah, Sam, is your spa out of the setback? And is that a self-contained spa?
That sits up on the patio there, and it's a self-contained spa.
And is it out of the setback too, or?
Yeah,
Good question, Bill. I think it's floating in that patio. If it's too close at the 10-foot mark, it can scooch towards the house a little bit. I'm not sure I have the setback shown on my landscape plan.
And
Meant to be 10 feet, Bill.
Yeah, it's meant to scooch over. We probably didn't.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
It's so funny on this site. We've got this property line that kind of goes through this big area to the west that is not this owner's property, and it just seems like, you know, it's a false area. But we'll float that spa 10 feet away, and it'll be legally in the setback.
and then did you do a gate detail too? Are the gates new down there, or is that a existing gate?
You know,
No,
those are new gates. I think,
new
Bob,
gates.
did you help with that?
Oh, yeah, no, we did the gates. The existing driveway is a very narrow driveway, but it's in a 20-foot easement, which enables the owner to widen the driveway. And the fire department wants the driveway 14 feet.
That's what we're showing,
Happy
yeah.
to have it 14 feet until we get to the turnout, which is just inside the property line.
Did you detail those gates down there?
Yeah, there should be on the drawings here.
So Dave, not on the land, oh, okay, excellent, keep going.
Not on the landscape, but
yeah, where's the I mean, I don't think we've ever seen the gates, is what I'm going for.
What's
I didn't see those. And then one last question to you, Bob, is there any concern you have for the neighborhood when you've got that wonderful glass wall that is the front view side of the garage as you pull your car in and you got your headlights on? Are those going to shine out bright into the neighborhood? Is that a
No.
right? Aren't the big glass windows there? That's the garage, right? Isn't that looking out to the view there?
yes, that's true, Bill. And that is the look that the owner wants to have there. And so it will either be the kind of glass that'll kill those headlights like a film up to a certain level, or we'll actually put a barrier there. That is something that I have not really addressed in detail.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
that's easy to fix.
Cool look, but I think for the neighbor's sake, I would just say heads up, you know.
Sure. And the gate detail should be at the early part of the set where we have the driveway.
I couldn't find them anywhere, so must have gotten left off.
So keep going back.
Is it a little vignette or something?
Yeah, keep going back.
right there? No.
That's
No.
cool.
The gate drawings, the driveway and gate drawings were supposed to be included in the set.
Maybe they're on the cover sheet there.
No.
Mhm. Yeah, well, anyway, those were my questions. Thank you.
No, we have, that's all been detailed, and I'm sorry that it's not part of the set here.
Let's move on with questions, please. Tip.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Elida.
May we go back to Sam's conceptual plan or his?
It's his final file. I don't think it's conceptual anymore. We're at final
Sam,
right
is
now.
are the olive trees? You have a number of them. Are they fruiting or non-fruiting olives?
They are fruiting field grown at this point. Now, we certainly would entertain either the fruitless or fruiting, but the intent was to get as good size of field grown canopy as we could, Elida, because we've got the neighbor issue. So we've got existing olives right kind of above, right below the pool, to be descriptive. There's a little group, 3 of them, of olives, and they're fruiting olives. So kind of matches what we've got.
Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you.
And David? Please, David?
Sorry, I was muted. Can you explain your color materials board here?
Yes, this is a request from the owner to have the angled study frames, steel frames that are defining the glass to be this yellow color, and then to have the surround around the garage window be the blue lagoon. And then we are going to have on top of the master bedroom wing roof, over the membrane will be artificial turf. So when he's up above the house on a nice sitting area, he can look out over the house roof and he will see the green artificial turf. And the body of the house will be the gray white, the cream stone color. And then the fascias and the but I mean that's any trim at the fascias and at the gutters and downspouts and doors and window frames will all be flat black.
Can you? It's not clear to me where the color is happening. Can
On the garage.
So yeah, the
two frames?
surround around the big window, he wants to have that blue tone, and then the study window, the angular frame, that will be the yellow.
Okay. Thank you. That was my questions.
I will say, I want to add the gate detail, which the driveway detail, which unfortunately did not make it on the plans, is detailed to be just a vertical bars, an 8-foot gate with vertical bars with 8-foot pilasters, stone pilasters on either side. So it's very conventional. It's not a statement. The gates aren't a statement like the colors are.
And I have no questions. Public comments. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 6, 1186 East Mountain Drive, please?
Oh, thank you, John.
Okay, so we are on for final. He has already received preliminary. It sounds like there's one, what I would consider to be minor detail missing. Shall we go through and have formal comments? Is that Claire? You want
to? As far as what we're going to do with it at this point?
Do you have any comments about this? Are you ready to approve it?
No, I'm actually fine with it. And given this sort of breakdown, because we don't have the drawings of the gate, but I'm still willing to give it final approval, given Mr. Eason's description of that. I just now that Bob's described it to me, I can actually visualize where it is in the world and on the road and everything. And given that it's as simple as it is, for me, I'm willing to give this final approval.
Okay, Don, please.
I agree with Claire. Final approval.
Bill?
Yeah, I think, move the spa out. Eventually you'll have to do a gate detail, so that'll come, but the colors, I'm a little, after Dave kind of pointed it out, I was like, oh, wow. Is it really just, Bob, just to clarify, most of the building is that white, and that's going to be an LRB of under 84, is that right?
That is correct.
And then just this area where the study windows are, that's going to be the blue and the yellow. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, but the majority of the house is going to be this again, and just clarify that your LRB is under 84. If you can do all that, then I would be okay. to approve.
Yes, I do agree with all the other comments. I think it's ready for final approval.
Elida,
Well, yet another Easton Maphis jewel. I'm certainly ready for final.
Oh, thank you.
David, please.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that I can make the finding that the 2 and 12 roof is a better design solution than going.
Thank you.
4 and
That's,
12.
we have to get that in the motion.
I definitely agree with that. If this roof was more visible, I couldn't support it. And then I think the project should come back for final on consent to resolve the entry gate and the spa and these outlining items. But
What was the last item, please?
the location of the spa and the detailing of the driveway gate.
Just 2 items.
Yes.
Okay. Ferris Bueller, is that what you're doing here, Bob? Yeah, and you wanted to highlight it. Okay, so whatever. You can't,
I would be happy, John, could I add something?
Yes, please, please.
If the majority is saying final today, I would be happy to come back for revised final with the gates and the spa shown on the drawings and anything else that I think I need to tidy up. But I would sure love to have a final today, but I will definitely come back with a revised final with those items.
Okay, so Tip, are you there, please?
Yes, I am.
I normally volunteer Bill. May I volunteer you to look at the spa and the gate detail with the planner so we can give Bob the final consultation, all that? Is that okay?
Yes, definitely. I would.
Okay,
I
so
would be available.
David, I thought that you were on top of that 2 and 12. You want to take on the motion, please? With the gate and the spa location to be approved by the planner in consultation with Tip. Could you make that motion, please?
Sure, I'll make a motion for final approval with the conditions that, I guess it isn't, the condition that the spa location and the driveway gate details are reviewed by the planner and by Tip.
In consultation with Tip, yeah.
Consultation with Tip. And then also to make the comment that the board can support the 2 and 12 roof pitch for the solar panels because it's a better design solution and allows it to be not visible versus the 4 and 12.
Is there a second to that motion, please?
I'll second it.
Is there any other discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Bob, you're on for the last item as well, number 7110 Deerfield Road. And I think, Sam, you're on it also?
Correct. Thanks, John. I'm here.
Okay, so we must have minutes. Okay, so MBAR members like the architecture and project design. One member expressed opinion that the drawings were insufficient for preliminary approval. Return with full details. Bob, the floor is yours, please.
Yes, so color board is down on the left, and really there's no change to any architectural element. We just provided, I think the color board was on for preliminary also. So again, it's like a gray-white stucco with stone, Santa Barbara sandstone. Exterior iron doors and windows. We're probably going to be buying them from Portela, and that's their color that the owners like, kind of a very soft gray with a brown tint. And then where we have exterior wood doors, such as the garage doors and other service doors, that would be the gray tone that's there on the right. And Redland clay tile, 2-piece mission tiles, old Hacienda sand cast blend. So that's, we're trying to make it look like a updated old building. And it's like what you see in Europe when you go around in the hill towns of Tuscany. And here, this would be in the old parts of Santa Barbara. And so John Ricard is a member of an old family here in Santa Barbara, and that's the look he wanted. And so the plans are the same as what originally were looked at for preliminary. What has changed is the way we're doing the foundation system because of the high clay content of the existing soil and the proximity to moisture coming down that hill that is adjacent to the house area, the building envelope. We're going with a raised floor, and this does be similar to a house I did in Summerlin recently with the rat slab, and there is probably radon. We will be testing for radon, but we are assuming there will be radon in the soil. And we will be providing the venting for that, and then all the HVAC can go under the floor in the crawl space. The crawl space itself will be ventilated by a internal system, so there'll be no crawl holes, no venting. We successfully did this at the church, All Saints Church, and so with the same engineer, Wayne Adams, we're going to be doing that. So here are the elevations rendered in the computer, which I think Dave will appreciate. And so this is essentially the same package as we had at preliminary, and the development on the site is very restricted because it is mandated with the conditions of approval of the subdivision back in the late 90s that we stay within the building envelope with all our permanent development. These are the details. Doors and windows, the stone veneer detail around the garage doors and around our windows. This is our window schedule. And then we have the chimney cap detail at the bottom of the page. And we'll have two of those. The guest house. And then there is a cabana.
And Sam, do you have something to show us as well, please?
I do, John. If you want to go to the landscape plans, thank you. As you recall, this is a very tight building envelope, and there's a very large slope to our east. So if you want to stay down on the flat portion, we were very limited in the amount of grading we could do outside the envelope, if any at all. So you'll see that the flat footprint of the hardscape is going to be Belgard, kind of old world paver. Will be in a permeable fashion. We've got same thing in the backyard around the pool will also be a paver. We do have a play court in the back. We will have a DG path along the west side for trash and allowing service access to that area of the house, which is their service side. You want to go to the landscape plan, which is L3. What we've done to complement the style of this old world look is to introduce olive trees and oak trees and some flowering trees like crepe myrtle and jacaranda and spathodia to create a little bit of interest around the house, but mostly to keep the palette quiet. A lot of green and a lot of gray in the entry. Another kind of olive grove is the theme, with some striking agave Americana in the middle of a field of Myoporum. low pink myoporum, so a very low flat ground cover with accentuating trees and accent planting of the Mediterranean style. In the entry court, we've got some foundation planting of Rapielopus umbellata minor. We've got some Pittosporum crassifolia, Nana. We've got some Dorianthus. On the garage guest house, I should say, wall, which is very thin planter, we've got Espalier Gruya Cafra. So we're trying to green up the area, even though it appears to be mostly a courtyard kind of entry, but there's plenty of planting and canopy to soften it and give it an old world classic look. On the slope, we've made some liberties with our crepe myrtles and our jacarandas, and we've been planting the Westringia mundi, which is the low kind of coastal rosemary as the ground cover. Want to keep it low and keep it very simple. And we have some Frocrea in that guest parking area on the slope, the variegated variety, which will be quite striking in that Westringia mundi, both above the pool and above the guest parking area. On the slope, we've got maintenance trails, of course. If you want to go to the next drawing, Dave, I think I blew up the back area. That in a simple way is really just an orchard with mulch. We've got some avocados and some citrus, and we're keeping that just more as a functional area for growing the family fruits. And then in the next drawing, I think, shows the slope. We're screening the solar panels with Westringia and Abijam, a little taller one. We've got some minimal trails to get up to the trail. We've also planted the fence line at the top of the slope area that will screen the public trail, which is above that fence line. That we've got Italian buckthorn, we've got toyon, we've got heteromeles, I said. We've got, I think, some oleander. What we're trying to do there is hide the fence and create kind of a natural, more rural barrier, not a hedge, not a hedgerow. We don't want it to look unnatural. And then the oak trees sprinkled throughout the slope. We've got some spathodia kind of aligned to the stairs towards the patio in the backyard, and some crepe myrtles to create a little bit of interest, and olive trees around the solar panels. So we're trying to kind of break up that big slope, create more of a natural looking oak and olive presence, but also adding some flowering trees up there for interest. We also have some very large, beautiful windows looking up at that slope. And we've got a fountain, small stone wall at the base that allows a little bit of symmetry outside that main big window out of the living room. But for the most part, we kind of were restrained in the plant types and or numbers of types of plants, I should say. And we're trying to keep this more of a simple and classic rural, fine country home. So I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Bob. Do you have anything else, or should we go on with the deliberations, please?
I just wanted to mention that this particular house we don't have a gate per se, because the gate is down at Sheffield to the whole subdivision. So we're just having redoing the stone wall that is existing out there right now, and just having it be framing the wider opening driveway going in. So there's no gate.
Okay, this is Don Sharp's last item for the MBAR. Would you like to start by asking questions, please?
Yes, and that is, how do you assure yourself that it can look old when it's finished? And how do you create the stonework and the plaster and the roof tiles to not look new?
Are you asking for trade secrets here, Don?
Yes.
Curiosity. Yeah.
Just
No, it's-
checking, Don. Go ahead.
It's really important, obviously, and that's what the architect and owner and landscape architect are working toward. And I just was curious.
Well, Don, those Redland tiles are the best that I can find as a commercially available tile. The tile that I like to use and I've used consistently is George Davidson's Materiales de Construcción. He made them in Mexico to match the George Washington Smith look. And if George is still in business and he's still kicking, and so I have told him that I've got a job for him here, and so I'm on his books. So maybe in about a year we can get those tiles. But as a backup, we've got the Redlands tiles spec'd out. They seem to be the best ones that will create the older look. And then the stonework is just got to be like I've done most recently over in the San Ynez Valley, is we patterned it on a good looking old wall that I show the mason. Usually, I believe in this case, it was 3 or 4 years ago, but it was in the Upper East, a very nice stone wall. And so I want to bring those ideas to this house. Old stone that was done back in the many years ago, and then the George Washington Smith tiles. I mean, that's what I'm planning to do.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Good. Nice.
Thank you, Don, and thank you for being who you are. I've always admired your work and appreciated you.
Thank you so much, Don. I appreciate serving with you, and certainly all your good talents for the community has been very much appreciated, Don.
Hey, guys.
Thank you, Sam.
Guys, we're in questions. When we get to comments, you can gush as much as you want. Tip, please.
I have no question. Thank you.
David.
No questions, John.
Elida.
Dave, can we look at Sam's planting plan? I have a couple of questions there. Sam, on the
Yes.
upper part of the drawing, those 3 octagonal symbols, what those foundation trees?
The upper part of the main building, Lida, or
Yeah, the upper part of right there. Yeah,
those are jacarandas.
Oh, jacarandas. And if you can pull back again, Dave.
And then over by the the guest house, those are crepe myrtles.
And then Dave, the upper slope to the east, the whole big drawing.
I think that's the last drawing of the landscape set, Dave. It shows up the hill.
Yeah.
Right. So all this open space that you have, obviously large shrubs and trees and such, is there a ground cover there? Is it mulch? What is the intention?
Grass.
The grass is, we're going to keep a low grass there, Lida, and just maintain it as kind of a seasonal thing. We're not going to water that whole slope. We're not going to try to maintain that other than annual fuel management. So we're just going to let it be the grass that kind of adjoins that whole slope to the north and somewhat to the south to the neighbors. So we're going to, it's such a big slope to try to create ground covers on all of it was something that was blowing my water budget.
I bet.
So we're trying to just kind of keep it simple and let it blend into the slope that's there, but certainly give it some of the canopy and some of the interest, certainly of the plant palette that we've chosen.
Right. Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Claire?
No questions.
Okay. Bill?
Light fixture, Bob, did you have a light fixture for the exterior?
Page 1.
Page 1.
I'm getting cold and I was trying to start my fire.
Lower left-hand corner.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was light fixture. And then your LRV for your white, is that under 84?
That'll be under 84. Sorry, I didn't get that.
And your site wall you described, there was no detail, but it's gonna be stone, is that right? It'll be stone.
Yes.
Stone
Yes,
wall. Okay,
we're gonna try to reuse as much of that stone as we can. That's out there.
right, okay, that was it, thank you.
I have no questions. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 7, 110 Deerfield Road, please?
Yeah, somebody wants to tell Don how wonderful he is.
Is it President Biden by any chance?
No,
Is your wife on the line, Don?
Yeah, is your wife on the line?
no.
Is
We
there,
can't help ourselves, Don.
is there somebody or not?
Nobody's here. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I'll close public comment. Don, comments, your last one, please.
I think it's a great project and I really appreciate the detail effort that Bob has gone and Sam have gone into to make this as old looking as possible in all respects.
Is that a motion for final? please?
Yes, it is.
Is there a second?
I'll
I'd
second.
like to second it with the applicant to verify that the LRV on the cement plaster will be at 0.84 or less. I did look up the avalanche color that's specified and it is no longer available, I guess. I could not find it. So that would be my second. Is there any other discussion about that, please? About the entire motion, please?
Just to add the note that the site wall is gonna be stone. It didn't say that on there.
Okay, is that okay with you, Don, to add that?
Yes.
And myself as well. Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a nice holiday, everybody. Don, Sharon, thank you so much for your effort and your good work.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, MBAR members.
My
Thanks, Don.
pleasure.
Thanks, Sharon.
Would Don like to make the motion to adjourn?
First of all, I'd like to say it's been my pleasure to work with such dedicated community-wide people, and I just will miss you all, believe me. And I make a motion for adjournment.
You can join every other week, public comment.
All right.
Is there a second for that motion for adjournment?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be good, Don. Be good, Sharon.
Goodbye, all.
Take
Bye.
care, Sharon.
Hi, I'm on Instagram.
Good job.
Hop in and see me. Bye.